Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am very excited because I am starting a new vlog series on my channel called TBR Tumble. The whole point of TBR Tumble is to get rid of my 600 book TBR. Actually right now we are on 598, but that takes so much longer time to say than 600. Obviously everyone on the YouTube right now and their mothers are doing different kinds of getting rid of the TBRs, reading down the TBRs, etc, etc. It's like a whole trend of different types of vlogs. I see people doing it all the time, and it's been really inspiring to see lots of people doing it, and I definitely feel influenced that is why I want to read down my TBR. And I feel like, you know, when you see a lot of people doing something, you feel inspired. But the one I really want to thank is the series that actually only series I have actually watched. I see a lot of people post them, but the only one I am actually keeping up when I watch is obviously Shelf It or Scrap It by Becca and Becca on the Books, which is my one of the favorite things I watch. It is so entertaining and fun and see Becca go through her books. And I don't know 100% sure if this series will exist, but I definitely also have been influenced obviously by other people in my life that have for years told me that I cannot keep every single book ever. Also a lot of people that is yelling me to adjust the enough series. As I'm still not at that point, but I'm definitely influenced by a lot of people, but I still wanted to give credit for Becca for creating such an amazing series, and I definitely recommend you watching if you haven't already. This series, I'm going to take my TBR down to 100 books. I don't want it to be 0 because I want to actually have books on my TBR, but in my head, if I can read my TBR down in 1 to 3 months, which is about 100 books, I would say, then I'm caught up. It all will make sense in the end. I have lately reflected a lot on how my reading taste has changed over the years. I have ended up with books that I bought 8 to 10 years ago, and I'm reading them now and I absolutely hate them. So I don't want that to happen anymore. I want my books to reflect what I like now, and then I want to just read all my backlogs so that then my TBR is new and fresh. That is at least the idea. And in general, I just want to buy less books and then use the library more, which I already have started doing a lot, but it's a bit counterproductive right now because I borrow more in the library, but then my TBR doesn't get read because I borrow books in the library, you know? I have said to myself that I want to be done with this by the end of 2026. So not this year, obviously, but the end of next year. I think it is doable if I keep at it and don't buy too many books, etc. But it also will be a bit of a tight fit. So obviously if we go a few months into 2026, I'm not going to get arrested and go to jail, but that is the thought and the deadline I have for me right now. We will be doing different kinds of episodes for the series, choosing out books in different ways. And this first episode, I think I have made it a bit complicated for both you and me, but hopefully it will make sense as we start doing it. I will be using Libib to keep a track of my TBR. I started to put in all my books there in February 2024. It has been amazing, honestly. I really like that it's very visual, etc. I used to have all my TBR, etc. on lists, which wasn't as giving. And this is the status of the shelves right now. I will put a screenshot, and we will interact much more with it in future episode or by the end of this episode. I could sit here and explain a lot, but I think the intro is already going to be a bit long. But you get the gist, I think, of just looking at this photo. And we will be interacting a lot with it more as we go forward. As you also can see, is that 2 shelves here are empty. That is on purpose for right now, and it will make more sense as we start using them. I made them specifically for this vlog series. You get the general gist. We are getting my TBR down to 100. I am very excited to be starting this and very excited to have different methods to choose out my books. And now we're going to go into how we're going to do it for this specific first episode. This first episode is titled, as you can already see, that I need to read books or unhaul them or read and unhaul them. It sounds so complicated. What we're going to do first is that I have this dice that I bought in this dice set. Yay. Is it Dungeons and Dragons dice? Generally gaming dices? I don't know. This specific dice, you can choose up to 90, but we have one that is 00. I don't know if you can see that well. You can see pretty well. And this say is 100 because we can roll and get 0 books. That doesn't make any sense. This dice is gonna, for this specific episode, choose how many books we're gonna read. That means that we can choose from 10 to 100 books. So it is 10, 20, 30, 40, etc. It is going to be a round nice number, and for this specific episode we are going to use this. I am a bit scared to get 100 books. That means that this episode would be over like several months. I would do my best to go faster, but that will be a really long episode. Obviously, I'm hoping for a bit more than 10, but I am willing to take the challenge because then we can start episode 2 anyway. And what we're going to do is that we are going to pick out books from my shelves. I'm gonna handpick them. Sometimes in these we are gonna randomize much more, and like it's gonna be a bit more out of my control. But in this one we are handpicking, and the theme we're going on is books I don't want to read, which is a bit sad start maybe. But what my thought for this is that I will get rid of a lot of books on my shelves that I'm the least excited for, so that later it will be easier for me to survive this. And it is building more on the fact that 1.5 years ago, I did choose out a lot of books on my shelves that I never, for example, added into Libib. Like they were never officially on my TBR. It was around like maybe 200 books, I am not sure, that I picked out that I was going to read soon and then unhaul them if I didn't like them. And I've been using several last months actually finishing this because I never actually started it properly. I did a Fairly vlog instead. I did a Lumicraft vlog. I was procrastinating those piles a lot, but I have now finally finished them. But that means that I have about like, haven't actually counted them, but I assume around 200 books ready for me to get unhauled. And I want to just, if I'm going to unhaul more on my shelves anyway, I want to do them now so that they all can be in one big unhaul. Because when I unhaul, I give away to friends and the library, and I want to just like get all the piles out at the same time instead of like it being in different like small piles. I can't explain it that well right now, but I do believe you get what I mean. So that is why I'm just choosing that this first episode builds on the same idea of the piles that I was going to get rid of them, because I have an unhaul waiting and I just want to add it there at once instead of waiting for a really long time. That doesn't mean that I think I will actually unhaul quite much more as we go forward in the episode, but that will be declared when that happens. Now we will get rid of the most boring books. Obviously, if it's like 100, that would be a lot. But obviously, I don't need to unhaul all of them. The rules are that we will pick out a book. I need an example. So I have, for example, The Diabolic. And I have already read this. I am thinking about unhauling it, but I do want to read the sequels before I unhaul it. So, for example, let's say we pick out 20 books on the dice, and then I read the sequels to Diabolic, which I don't even own, so that means that I don't even go out of my TBR. This one is not even on my TBR because I already read it, but I unhaul one and I read 2. That would count as 3 out of the 20 books. So that means that for a lot of these series, if I choose to read and finish series, which I tend to do, not every book we interact with will actually go for my actual TBR. So that means that we are going to read and interact with many more books than is actually there. I'm making it complicated. I'm making it harder for myself. Love to do that. I have another good example. Truth Witch is lying here in wait. I read this. I have the next book. So that will be out of my TBR. But if I was going to continue with the whole series, just to catch up, for example, it would not be out of the TBR, but it would be one of the 20 books that were picked out. I also can take books from my shelves that if I just decide I don't want them and unhaul them, I don't need to actually read it or read the sequels, and it would count as one of the 20 books. I think it will all make sense when we actually start. So I think we should start with rolling the dice. As you can tell, I already have piles of books behind me that are ready for this challenge, but that is not because I started the challenge. It is because I have very little space on my shelves right now. When I needed to put in new books, I took out books that I knew I was most likely not going to want to keep. So that's why they're just lying there and wait for me to start this challenge. So we are going to roll the dice, and I hope that everything will make more sense. If you have any good ideas or fun ways for me to pick up books, or like, Sandra, you should do this in the challenge instead, that's much easier for you, I would love to hear it down below. So please do share. But we're going to roll the dice. I have stolen this from my mom that I gave her. We have the dice ready. Do we roll it like this? I can actually ignore the fact that the tray is lying on Twilight, but we are ready to roll. I am a bit scared. I've rolled it many times for fun yesterday to see, but I'm scared. I don't want to actually see. I don't want to. Okay. Oh my god. What did I just say that 00 was? That is 100. That is 100! Are you kidding me? I swear. I did not do this on purpose. Are you kidding? So I need to again say that 100 book will not go out of my TBR, oh my god, the camera, because we will interact with more books than what I'm actually like on my TBR. I have so many things. How did we get the highest? I want to cheat and do it again, and then you will never know. Okay, so I already know what I'm starting with, because before this vlog, I did another vlog where I was finishing up the books in my piles, but then I decided to end that vlog a bit early because the last books in my piles were annoying me, so I just ended that vlog so I could start this one. So the first thing we have here is actually City of Spells. This is a sequel to Into the Crooked Kingdom. And I have read that and I did not enjoy it, and I doubt I will enjoy this one. The reason I just took this into this next vlog is because this is actually on my TBR. I think we should start with a book that is actually on my TBR, and then when I read it and probably don't enjoy it, we will have 2 that has gone away, because I done a haul into the Crooked Kingdom as well. We only have 98 left. The thing is that today I'm doing a live with Manga Night, so I'm not going to actually read this probably today, but tomorrow is when magic will happen, I think. I need to go and process this, but welcome to the new series. It would be great. See you! Hello. It is later and I'm about to go to bed, but I was gonna update this vlog before, because even though I had Manga Night, I did finish my book for today. I'm hoping to read 1 a day, but in theory I want to read 2 a day. I feel like I made this particular episode very complicated with like picking out a certain amount of number and how I'm going to interact with the books. I just reflected more upon it later, and I don't know if I explained it well in the beginning, but I just hope it makes more sense as we interact more with the books, etc. The point is that we picked out 100 books, but we're not going to read 100 books, we're going to interact with 100 books, and not every one of those 100 books is going to come out of my physical TBR. Some is going to be things I already read and I'm unhauling. This is to clear books from my shelves that I don't want to own anymore, and through this challenge make it more fun and also just clear space in my shelves in general. And then some of them are going to be books I borrowed to finish up series before I unhaul them, etc. Or if I just want to see if I want to keep them. But some is going to count towards 100 and some is maybe not. It all depends a bit, which is why I think it made it a bit complicated. And the other episodes going forward is not going to be the same as this one. It's just this one particular is going to be like this. So hopefully you're going to hang on here to see what's going to happen next. But hopefully it will just make more sense as we go forward. As I mentioned, the first book I was going to read was City of Spells by Alexander Christo. This is the second book in Into the Crooked Place, which is a YA duology. And I did not end up liking it. I didn't like the first one either. I better read that last year in April with my friend Justine, and none of us really liked it. It is about this crew that's going to do this heist, and then they all like have troubles. It's basically a really bad version of Six of Crows, which is, I know it's a thing where if you compare a YA high story with Six of Crows, it's like you can't compare every single YA high story with Six of Crows, but I'm just doing it anyway. And we weren't having a good time. I didn't care for the characters, I didn't care for the world, I didn't think it was a particularly fun book. I enjoyed To Kill a Kingdom to a certain extent, which is by the same author, but I have also ended up unhauling that, or it is in my unhaul piles, but I haven't actually unhauled anything yet. So what is going to happen now is that I did read this today. I couldn't remember who anyone was. I didn't care for a single thing. Did I waste my time? Probably. But I can say I have finished the duology. I don't think that I was going to say it's going to retain this story pretty well, because I honestly didn't care for a single thing that was happening. However, I did read it and I was just like, oh my god, here is Casper Wannabe, and I just don't care what happens to this crew and whatever they plot out. I don't think the plot in here was particularly fun either. They're going to rebuild the realms across the rebellion. I just wanted to see how they are gonna like explain the plot, and it's like the most vague thing I ever had. So overall, didn't enjoy it. I think I gave the first one a 2. I'm giving this a 2 or a 1. Like star ratings is not really what's particularly like important here. The point is that I am unhauling both of them. So what's gonna happen now is that obviously I took this out of my TBR, so my TBR has now gone down with 1 book, but this one I had already read, so this is gonna go out of my read books. So obviously I am editing the libib as we go along in this, but I'm not going to like go in and show you every time I edit it, because as we know, we are here for 100 books. If we had maybe less books, I would do it, but we would do in the end of this probably 4-hour long vlog, let's be real. I would try to be fast, okay? Show like a comparison, because obviously I also really read and interact with other books outside this vlog. There will come books in. I guarantee you there will come books in that will be either added to read, because if I already read them and there's special editions coming in, or more books will be added to the TBR as well. I did debate if like I'm not gonna like add anything as we do this vlog, but I feel like that's gonna make me be so confused of what is actually added or not. Point is that I will remove Into the Crooked Place from the red shelf, and then this one is now from, it has actually been added to the red shelf as well, because that's, I move everything from the TBR to red as I start them. So I think we can clear out the red shelf later, and then the TBR shelf is what's going down, and that is obviously the main focus for this whole series. Out of 100 books, we have cleared out 2. So we have 90 out left to interact with in this vlog. And the next one is actually really silly, because I handpicked the books, as I said, but this is a leftover from the piles that was on my floor, which was one of my last, but this one is going to now come out in like 3 months, so it's not going to be my last vlog anymore, but it is the vlog where I was reading through the piles on my floor, where this whole thing started, and that was the one I didn't get to because I don't have the rest of the series yet. But as it is Monday tomorrow, I'm hoping it will come in tomorrow, and therefore I will have the rest of the series. And it is Am I Normal Yet by Holly Born. However, this is not officially on my TBR in Libib, because it was in the piles and those books were never added to Libib. However, I have now committed that I will read this. So while it doesn't actually decrease anything in Libib, look, I made this complicated, okay? We're still gonna have it as one of the 100 books for this vlog, because I am reading it to Unhaul it, so it does count as a book I am unhauling. Nothing makes sense anymore, but it's fine. So I'm reading this and the rest of the series. Then the rest 3 of the series I have borrowed in the library. If I end up loving it, I guess I need to buy them. But it will still be one of the 100 books we are not reading. So I'm thinking that I will read this tomorrow at least, hopefully maybe the next one as well, because I do have 1 and 2, I just don't have a 3. So yeah, that is the current plans. This is a YA Contemporary. I don't know more. And now I'm gonna go to bed. See you later. I don't know what's going on, but it's gonna be fine. Hello, it is next day. I am actually suddenly super sleepy, but I wanted to update this vlog before going to bed, because I have finished 2 books for this vlog. We are reading, as I said yesterday, Am I Normal Yet by Holly Born. This is a UK release only, I think, because that's why I couldn't get it in the Libby, because I only have US libraries. And this is a main character who has OCD and she struggles a lot with it, and she's trying to get off her medication. OCD starts acting out more, and she's always like she wants to be normal because she wants to be like everyone else, and she's struggling a lot with this. It reminds me a bit of Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, even though I do think that Turtles All the Way Down by John Green was better, but it also had things in it that I questioned. And when I reread it like 2 years ago after having read it before and loved it, I didn't love it as much. I can't speak for having OCD, but I can speak for knowing a lot about mental illnesses from literally all my friends having mental issues, which I say with the most love I can have in my heart. It is different from person to person and everyone is different, but overall I cannot speak for the representation it is. It does unravel a lot, and could trigger you maybe. I am not sure, but I don't know if the representation is good. It is very much like it consumes a lot of the novel, but she does figure out in the end, which is not really a spoiler because it is a contemporary novel, that is going to be a part of her for the rest of life, and she's now actually going to get rid of it, and that sucks. But that doesn't mean that being normal, what is even that in these days? Is anyone normal? It very clearly is written in its time. It has no weird jokes in it, and it is about like these 3 girls. The whole series is called the Spinster Club, and the Spinster Club is the 3 girls, 3 best friends making this club that is feminist, and I'm gonna learn about feminist issues. And it's just, for me, I think it's good for them. I think it feels empowering for them to sit down and like learn more about feminism and different things in their society. And as they're 16, it is important for them. I do get that, but as for me right now, I just found it very not interesting. And I'm not saying that what they were doing were bad and that the thought behind it is good, but for me it was just like very like feminism 101 and like how it tries to highlight like OCD, etc. It was very much like not for me. It's not a story that is written for me today. and there was some, like, as I said, like jokes in it, etc., that I felt as aged out, HP references, etc. I know that this is very normal in these kinds of books, but I just like, ew, every time I see them now, I cringe. They were making, for the Spinster Club, they made like this card with like different empowering women, and they did mention by name that J.K. Rowling was on this card, and I just I just laughed out loud. I was like, lol, that has not aged well. And I think that that is hilarious in a way. But at the same time, I did feel a bit connected. It was a lot about family and her supportive family of her and trying to help her. And I am a sucker for family. It's all a lot about like first loves, etc. And like a bit of consent, etc. But I did feel like at the same time, as they were trying to empower each other, they were also still excluding other women. They were just like, oh my god, but at least I'm not slutty, for example, right? Because I'm not that kind of girl. And I'm like, okay, so you're doing something to empower women, but you exclude some women that you look down upon. And I'm like, fine, audience is definitely not me. And it's like, it's not a contemporary book I would recommend now, because I feel like it has aged out, and that is really fast for it to age out. I feel like it was released in what, 2015? It's 10 years ago. And I would just recommend so many other more contemporaries that I feel like are more timeless and feel like have many of the same things. Like, I would recommend Turtles All the Way Down more than this. That if you want to read, for example, with a character that has OCD, etc., I would recommend other works that has feminism in focus than this. And I gave it a 3 because I did, again, I did feel a bit for the character, and I did, like, as I said, the family aspect of it was good for me, but the rest, when I talk about it, maybe it's more like a 2.5. But it's also because I have also read the sequel. I read them both now tonight, and this one I have borrowed again in the library to complete the series, and I absolutely detested this. So I feel like that affected the enjoyment I had of the first one, because this one followed another girl in the group. Her name is Amber, and her mother left their family like 2 years ago and went to America. And so much about this book is about her coming to America. She's going to work in this camp that her mother's new husband has, and so much of that story is about her like being British and all American people being like, oh my god, you're British, and then she's judging them, for example, for like not having read Harry Potter because they're American. Apparently Americans can't read Harry Potter, and then it's just like what house they belong in and etc. There was so much about that, and it was so much about like, oh my god, she put me in the wrong house, how dare she put me in the wrong house. And I was just like, I get it, the book is from 2016. We don't have maybe that many references to HP, etc. Now, some people just cannot get over it. But for me to read this now, I just put a bad thing in my mouth, and it was just so uninteresting. And I just like, yeah. But that was not the one thing that made the book the most interesting. It is the way that our main character meets a Native American person, and she's just like, she described his skins and comparing him to Jacob in Twilight, and then he's trying to explain that like he lives on this restoration, and then she's just like, oh my god, like Jacob in Twilight. And he actually completes the census for her, and because he knew he was gonna say it. And I'm just like, so because because you're British, you don't know what a Native American is, unless it is from Jacob in Twilight. And I was just like, and I know that she's 16, and I know that this is a young book, and it's trying to like have pop references and stuff. And like, I love Twilight, but the point wasn't that. The point was just she was just suddenly so not smart in these situations, and it was just like the way people were acting around her, like American people acting in a certain way, the way that she was so British. And then she starts liking this guy, and it's suddenly all about this guy. But I just lost interest when we started talking about Jacob and Twilight to like know what a Native American is. That is like, I am all for a Twilight joke in a book, but I was just like, what am I reading right now? And I get that this one is from 2016, and I get that. But like, for me, that was just like, I was about to DNF this book, and I don't DNF books. I don't barely DNF series. I just, the one series that I don't complete, I don't say I DNF them. I just like, just never mention them again and pretend they don't exist. But this one, I am trying to read through, and I was literally like close to the book, and I was just like, I don't bother this. And then I just realized I had added it to Goodreads and Storygraph, and I feel like then I cannot like give up, because it was quite early in the book, like 100-page mark for me. It was just so weird, and then it all ended up being about this romance anyway. So what was the point? I cannot deal. I give it 1 star. I absolutely did not like it, and these are just very like maybe details I'm hanging myself up in, but I cannot help it. Like, my brain noticed it, and the rest of the story became very uninteresting after that. I read it, and now I am not looking forward to the third book. Not arrived today. So I need to read something else before we wait for the third book in the series, which is obviously about the last girl in the Spinster Club. She did still have contact with them throughout the book while she was in America. And then I have like the last like spin-off thing. So that means we have to pick out something else. And I cannot deal with another YA contemporary. Honestly, they are horrendous. So if I can get off from here, I am about to go to bed. Oh, I also move like an old lady. But I was thinking, can I put you here now? We were here yesterday. Stay. I was thinking that I already taken it out of my shelves. We haven't even like managed to go over to my shelves yet. Well, I need to sound like this. We would do Truth Wish. Truth Wish. Truth Wish. I have read the first one. I think I own the second one. I don't know where it is. And we would try to maybe catch up on the series as well, maybe borrow some. So I would read like one book out of my TBR. And then if I don't enjoy them, I will unhaul them. I haven't decided if I should, but I did read this first one. We do follow a Truth Witch. They're really weird, and then they want to take her, so there's someone after her. And then she needs to like go off with this dude they're like trying to hide or whatever. They're fleeing. And then it was a lot about like that journey and like hiding. Like that was like the basic plot we had throughout the whole book, the first one. So it was like a bit whatever to me, and I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. So I'm like, maybe we should read that, and then if I unhaul it, I'll get space. So returning you a bit, here is my paperback shelf. I can see Truth Wish up there. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm about to fall here. Why do I say Truth Wish? It's Truth Witch. I can't speak right now. I have Wind Witch, which is, it's there. It's here. That was a really bad filming, but we're dealing. Remind me next time to take the mic on me. Ow! Ow! I just stepped on something. It hurts to stay in my room. We're gonna read this then tomorrow, I think. Which is, it's actually very pretty. And yeah, I don't have the third book. I don't know if the fourth one is out. We will deal with this when we come to it, but I shall at least read this, and we do get one book off my TBR. But if we unhaul, you know, we will count it as 2. Counted off 2 yesterday, so we are 98, and then 2 off today. So we have 96 left. Okay, I'm going to bed. Bye. Hello. I'm trying very hard to not update about every single book. But like, if we take a whole series, I feel like we should take them all together. Or else this vlog is gonna be 6 hours long. But I did finish Wind Witch now today. I don't think I'm gonna read more today. But this is, as we know, the second one in the series. I feel like we have the prince who's presumed dead, and then we like have the different characters going out on their different journeys. There's a lot of looking for other people who's looking for other people, which is fine. And I found myself being quite interested in the beginning, but then I did feel like the book lost me a bit. I feel like I'm not that engaged, or like, what's it called? I don't care that much for the characters. I don't feel like they stood that much out to me in book 1. And I was trying so hard to remember who actually was who in book 2, and I'm falling a bit off of the series. However, since I don't own the rest, and that is because after this it was a 2.5 in the series that is called Sight Witch. It's a 5-book series, but this is like a 2.5, and they never came in this high to match these. And every time I was gonna like look for Blood Witch, which is the 3rd book, I remember I didn't have 2.5, and it annoyed me because like it was never, I guess, in the book deal of the 5 original books. This is the UK editions, so I never got that. That's why I only have 1 and 2. But in the style, like as I did my piles, the other project I had before this, I will continue the series, but digitally. That is still counting in the 100 books here, as it is a book we interact with, because I am still a bit unsure if I should unhaul, because what if the rest of the series is amazing? Hope it is amazing. But I also just like to finish stuff I started, as we know. So I was going to borrow it in Libby, and then it was not available in any of the libraries I have. And I was like, what? How can it not be available? It's like a quite popular series. They had them all on audio, but right now I listen to other audio things outside this vlog. But later audio will play a part of this as well. But they were all on Kindle Unlimited. So I did get 2.5 and 3 and 4 there. And 5 is coming in November. So is it silly? Because in the end of this vlog, I feel like we actually have moved nothing out of my actual TBR and only read things that I don't own anyway. But that is the math I will do later for this. It won't always be like that for the series, but we are doing it this way so that I can manage to say goodbye to some shitty stuff. I don't know if this is actually that shitty though, but however, I wasn't engaged and I didn't care for like the second half of it at all, and I feel like I should give it like a 2 or like a 2.5. I don't even know if I can round it up to 3. Is it worth it to continue? Someone would yell at me to say no, but here I am and I'm going to continue. So my next project now, at least tomorrow and probably the next day, is to read the next 3, and I will try to update you, if not in between, then when I finish that, and then we will move on to another series. And I told you I made this complicated, but now I already started, so let's continue. Hello, as promised, I was going to update this when I actually finish more things instead of updating between every book. So we were, as you might remember, because you just watched it, already read Am I Normal Yet and How Hard Can Love Be. We were waiting for book 3 in this series, which did come in on Thursday, and now I have read it. That is What a Girl Gotta Do. Since then, I have also read the next one, but let's take a moment to talk about What a Girl Gotta Do. This one is the last one in the friend group's book. Her name is... I've forgotten her name. It's Evie, Amber, and Lottie in the last one, and it was like one member each of the Spinster Club. And she, in the first pages of the book, experienced sexual harassment of the clothes she is wearing, and then she's just like, she decides that she's going to call out all like the harassment she sees for a whole month, and no like prompting or anything like that. And the whole like story, and I guess like the whole like point of these books is that like, I don't know, to be feminist, to stand up for other women, etc. And I do see that message, but it's also, I think it becomes a bit convoluted and a bit like, what can I say? Very like on the nose of these certain themes. I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong. The way that feminism is talked about in this book is the way I hate to speak about feminism. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to speak about in a way, but it's just like, that sounds like I'm against feminism, but I'm not. But it's just the way that the conversation is carried. It's very like, it's carried in a way that I don't like to read about it. But that doesn't mean that I don't think that the conversation is important, and I think that other people can find the conversation speaking to them more in a different way. But for me, it becomes very like on the nose of the issues, and then I feel like they are kind of hypocrites a lot of the book, because I feel like they're speaking about things in a certain way and speaking down on things in a certain way that goes against what they want to do. And then it's just uninteresting, and it's a lot about like them wanting boys and them not wanting boys, etc. And then I did, as I said, read the last one in the series, which is a very short little book. Great for me. This is the short story collection where we follow all of the POVs right before the new year. A lot of drama happens. And then when we get to this, all of the things that happen in these, I was a bit like, did we just unravel everything that we had established with these characters? But okay, in 200 pages, that was impressive, I think. But now I finished the whole series, and I'm of course definitely unhauling the first one, because I didn't even like myself. The first one I think I liked the most, but the rest I did not care for. And like, I get what the message the book is trying to do, but for me the message is carried in such a way that annoys me. However, as we know, this one didn't actually come out of my TBR. Because it was in the piles for my last buy, so it was like I was never in Libib, for example, where we count my TBR. But we are unhauling, and I'm returning the rest to the library before this vlog is over, because I'm going to return them next week, because there's no way that I can keep them here for that long anyway. And then we have Fruit Witch, which this one I already read. This one came from my TBR, and I have read the rest of the series. I have read Sight Witch, I have read Blood Witch, and I have read Witch Shadow, which I spent the last few days on. I feel deep in my soul that this is a series I should enjoy. I've been trying so hard to think about like, why am I not enjoying myself? It has so many cool elements. We have different witches, we have politics, we have different POVs. There's many different elements, there's different kinds of characters. One is being held hostage by a queen. The queen then it doesn't go that well with. We have so many different types of characters and a really cool world, and I cannot get into the story at all. I cannot connect with anything. I'm so bored. I feel myself spacing out when I'm reading constantly. I need to reread passages constantly. It is so annoying. The ironic thing that I literally think I saw like 3 other booktubers lately writing that they're struggling with concentrating and they keep spacing out, and I'm like, what is going on with everyone? Are we all sick? And I just kept spacing out over and over. I was not entertained. I was not having a good time. In theory, in my head, I think that the story is cool, the world is cool, and all that. And I feel like it is a series I should enjoy. I was just like, should I listen to an audiobook? Would that help me? But I was just so bored. I could not get into the story. And I can't give you more than that almost. Like, look at them. I actually think this cover's a bit ugly, but I think this is much prettier. But then they changed the covers anyway. I can't get them matching in these. And I just decided to unhaul because I don't think I will be interested. I put the last book on hold, which is coming out soonish. And I will read that Barney in the library. Then I finish the whole series because then the series was over. But I don't think I need to own it. And a part of me is like, what if I audiobook them later and love them? And then I'm like, well, then I can buy the series again and I can at least have matching covers. They have changed the covers. There was 2 different US covers before. There was like 3 different UK ones. I'm so confused of these covers. That does mean that we're removing one from Red Shelf. This one, obviously, we will go through this by the end of the vlog, but like the books I was on my TBR, obviously I moved to the Red Shelf because we are read them. And then we need to delete them from the Red Shelf afterwards. But with that, we are 11 books into the vlog. And only 2 of them are actually from the TBR shelf, which the whole point is to get rid of my TBR. We can deal with those facts later, but I just wanted to point them out if you've been keeping up, if anything I'm doing makes sense. But yeah, so far we have unhauled everything that I have. And then I am starting another thing either later today or tomorrow. And that one, that are books. That's from my TBR actually. I will show you later. So see you then. Hello. So we are in the last 17 minutes of the last print of the readathon I had this weekend. And as I said, I had plans on what to read. The theme for the readathon in Patreon was Dark Academia. And honestly, this vlog is going to probably be so long that we're going to have another Patreon readathon. But I don't know if it's going to be in this vlog. It all depends what I read for that. But decided to read a actual Dark Academia series. And I was picking from my TBR this time. Because as we know, we've been lacking a bit in that era. So I was reading or finishing off the Scholomance by Naomi Novik. However, I had already read book 1 and I own 2 copies of it, as you can see. But I'm just going to shortly talk about the synopsis for it. But it basically follows school where everything in the school wants to kill you. And the whole point is to survive until graduation. This series did get different criticisms that was problematic in it, but I still decided to read it. I did get the Oak edition and the Illumicrate edition at the time, and I read it. I was very excited because it was Dark Academia. It was like, now everything I feel like it's almost dubbed as Dark Academia, but it was Naomi Novik's Dark Academia, and I was super excited when I read it. It is a while ago now since I did, but I remember feeling quite disappointed in it. I do believe I gave it a 3, but that was like kind of what I gave when I felt like a bit bob about it. And the writing is really weird. We have a main character, Al, and it's just like she's surviving. She's starting to get friends in here, and then I don't know how to describe the writing, but it's very much not for me. The atmosphere in the book is not for me either, I would say. Like, in Dark Academia, I like the studying part of it, the dread of exams in a way. That sounds really weird. Like Babel, I enjoyed that kind of atmosphere. But here, I felt like we just go around and kind of do nothing. Like, I don't feel like we are studying, even though we are in school that's trying to kill us. For me, it just felt very like lost and confusing at the time. But nonetheless, I still did buy the second, The Last Graduate, even though I always think this is the third because it says Last in the title, and The Golden Enclaves. This is 2 and 3, and I have now read them for this weekend. And I didn't have my high hopes for them, and as we know, we are handpicking for this for things I do think I'm not going to enjoy and unhaul, and that is how we ended up. I didn't really think that this gave me more in the story that I enjoyed. A part of me bought all of them because obviously Illumicrate didn't continue with their editions, but I bought them all in UK hardcovers because they do go out of print after a while the paperbacks has been out, and that's why I bought them all to match. I just feel like I didn't enjoy them. I feel like for me, I was not engaged with the story. I found myself like not caring for anything, and a part of me is like, I feel like I should enjoy this, just like I said with the last, like with the Witchlands. I feel like I should enjoy them as well, but I feel like I was not enjoying myself, and a part of me was like, would I have liked it more in audio? That is apparently my question every day, apparently, even though I haven't really been enjoying audio that much either lately, so I don't know what I'm thinking. And a part of me wants to hold on to them because again, I have 2 special editions of it. The hardcovers again are out of print. If like I ever want to repurchase them, it would be maybe the US editions, which are more expensive, or like the paperbacks. But a part of me also didn't enjoy myself. Why will I keep something that I did not have a high enjoyment in it. I don't think that the books are bad though. I'm not saying that the books are bad and are terrible and I hate them. I just think that they're enough for me. Again, the atmosphere, the way they are written, I cannot get into the story or care for the characters or this world. And that is ultimately why I am now unhauling. So 2 of these were from my actual TBR. Again, I would do like a final counting of everything in the end. And 2 of them are not. These are just on my red shelf. I mean, these are now moved to my red shelf, yada yada, which means that I'm counting it as 4 books out of the 100 to make my life easier. The whole point, as I said in the beginning, is that we are going to read or unhaul something, and I'm not going to keep these and this 2 books that is going out of my library, so we are counting it as 4 because that is what I want to do, so we are doing it. I did at least complete the trilogy, and I did open up space for my shelf, but actually when I was going to find them on my shelf, which I should have filmed, but here we are, I couldn't find them where they used to stand because I actually moved them out of my shelves because they took space from other books that I would rather want there instead. So here we are. So now for tomorrow, as I am going to continue this, I am going to continue the series The Diabolic, which again is a bit, I don't even know what to say, because there was a book that used to be in my piles, but I never read it for the piles because I read it for my favorite vlog instead, because I decided at the time to read books for the favorite vlog before I read books in the piles, because I knew so many books in the piles was going to be read for the favorite vlog. Therefore, this was never on my TBR and it's not in the library in Libib, but it is a book I own that I can unhaul. So I have borrowed the 2nd and 3rd book in its trilogy. I did enjoy it semi, and I want to see what happens next, and I don't want to unhaul it until I read the rest, or else I will forget it existed. If I somehow, by a miracle, love the 2nd and 3rd one, because there was potential here where I was enjoying myself or not, it could happen that we keep it, but we shall see. This one follows a Diabolic, which they were all ordered to be killed. A robot, an autonomous, that is assigned to one person to protect them, and she's assigned to this girl that she's protecting, and then they kept her alive without them knowing. The girl is then summoned to the capital, which is on a ship, because her father has been breaking the law, etc. And then they send the Diabolic, our main character, instead to protect the girl she is protecting. And she comes into this world of court stuff and lots of drama stuff, and she doesn't fit in there, and then she also, if they find out that who she really is, they will kill her. I found it very interesting. I found like we have like this Princeton character that's interesting. There was just parts in the plot where like a thing happened and then it didn't happen and then it happened after all that annoyed me. And then like also like how things played out annoyed me a bit as well. But then it went kind of expected in the end, where I'm unsure where we'll go next. I am curious about it. And I think like that our main character was interesting and that the setup was interesting. So I actually enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. I am curious to see how the 2nd and 3rd will play out. I don't have high hopes, but I am curious. That also does mean that yes, we are reading another thing that doesn't actually take anything out of my TBR. Shout at me later, okay? I'm just doing it like this. We are unhauling stuff as well, okay? Well, you will see me when I finish that then. Hello. Why do I always look like the messiest person? I have finished the Diabolic, or I didn't finish this, but I did finish its sequels, which is The Empress and The Nemesis. And honestly, I didn't love the sequels as much as I liked this first one, but I'm still glad I finished the trilogy, because then I wouldn't be going around thinking what if they were amazing. But I have, before giving you my short review, decided to unhaul this and not buy the rest of the series, which again didn't affect my TBR at all, but here we are. So I'm putting this down here, and it just continued the story. I do think that the series had some surprising elements. Like I think that we had some surprising things happening after the aftermath of the first book, and I was a bit like, how is this going to go? The thing that annoyed me a lot about the series is that it's trying so hard to be plot twisty that it kind of loses itself a bit, and I do think that I felt like that in the first one, and I could see the patterns of that now in the 2nd and 3rd. I don't know really how to describe it without spoiling it, but it's very much like a certain events happened, and then it's like, no, this didn't actually happen at all, but this happened, and then that event happens after all anyway, but just in a different manner. And it's just a bit annoying actually, because I just wish that the story could tell itself in a better way instead of this happening. And it happened in the 2nd and 3rd book, and I got a bit tired of it, because I was like, of course it didn't actually happen and then happens. And it's very vague to explain it like that, but it just was a way of telling a story to have the story told to you that was annoying to me. I like the ending fine. I do think that part of me knew exactly where it was going to go, but another part of me also, it's not like predictability necessarily, but like there's a certain way the story could go. So part of me knew how it was going to end, but then I feel like the story still managed to surprise me a bit. And I did enjoy the characters, but I liked them more in the first book. And here I had forgotten who a lot of like the side characters were. And overall, I like didn't care for the romance and stuff. So it was like ups and downs. And I ended up giving it like a 2, while I gave the first one a 3. But I do think I like the first book the most, and the second book I liked fine, and the third book was a bit whatever to me. So we can move on from that series. And I was not planning to give you a shelf tour or anything, but I was planning for us to go more through my shelves together, as I am handpicking for this. But I also realized that's going to take so much time. I've been scrolling through my TBR on Libby because I feel like I managed to cover a lot of the series I had in mind for this when I chose this way of choosing books for the first episode. And I was like, oh my god, will I have enough to fill in the rest of the vlog? And I do think that I will. Like, because as I scroll through, I just found more and more and more that I'm not excited for anymore, or I bought for like several reasons that I don't think I will join anymore. And I have already read the last book in the next series, which I can then show you, because I didn't actually take it out of my shelves yet, because I read it on I was gonna say eBay. On like I borrowed in Libby, so I didn't need to carry the book. It is all the way down. It's all the way down here again. And I do believe that were we not just here, but this pile of books here, I don't know if it's because they don't have room or they're part of a read-along. That's why they're standing there. I don't know why this pile is standing there. I've been too lazy to take it in place, honestly. And I was about to reread Throne of Glass, etc. And most of this is Throne of Glass, but then I interrupted my reread. But my actual series that we're going to talk about is the one standing here. So if I can grab it. It's not easy. I need to lean over. Here it is. Oh. Champion of Fate fell out. And I will deal with that another time. It's really hard for me to get to that part of my shelves, because like it is, what's it called, blocked by the chairs. I put things down there that I thought that I most likely, 1, didn't want to look at, or 2, didn't want to touch again. But it turns out I want to touch all my books again. So it is Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence, starting off with Red Sister. And the first one in this is obviously Red Sister, which I already read, and then Grey Sister, which I already read as well. And I didn't really enjoy them. It follows this young girl that ends up in this, I was going to say nunnery, but it's not really a nunnery, but a convent. And then there are assassins and different people with different like abilities. And then it's like after what blood you have, what kind of ability you get. And then she has an affinity for 3 different ones. And then I didn't care for these at all. But for some reason I ended up buying Holy Sister, which is the one that was on my TBR. And I read Holy Sister today, and I still didn't enjoy it. And I overall didn't enjoy this at all. And I have, when I now unhaul this, I haven't done unhauled every single Mark Lawrence I owned. And I do think that I have realized that I just don't like the way he writes. I don't think it is for me, like the way the story is. And I have read now, this is the 4th series I read by his, though I haven't completed one of the other 3, I guess. I just don't enjoy like his stories, and I don't enjoy like the way they play out. And I do think there's probably cool fantasy stuff in it, but I just can't get into them, and I just don't care for them. So I'm ready to say goodbye, which is a bit sad. I think it's very recent actually I got Holy Sister because I want to complete the series. While it is a while ago since I read the first 2, so I also was a bit like, who are you? Even though I did read the seminary in the beginning, and I was just like, well, let's see how it goes. And it didn't go that well. I didn't enjoy myself. I gave this a 2, and I gave also these a 2 from before. And I have decided to unhaul all of them. But we did get 1 book off my TBR and completed the series, which is amazing. So I have also decided the next book for this. And I'm doing a lot of my fantasy paperbacks right now, I feel like. But I feel like I'm lying to you, because we know which one was hardbacks, and a lot of the other ones were just random stuff. But my next one is in my hardback shelf. Here we are with my fantasy hardbacks. And then the one I'm reading is not one of these gorgeous ones, but it is this one. This is a really great showing to you. It's here. A lot of my room is messy, so I'm just like self-conscious as I show you around here. My shelves, most of them, look fine, but my floor, don't look at it. So we had Off With Their Hands by Hana Makuta, and this is, I assume, Alice in Wonderland I'm telling. This will be the 3rd Alice in Wonderland I'm telling I read in a very short amount of time, and I haven't cared for a single one of the others I read. And this I bought because I was just like, oh my god, gorgeous book, gorgeous book. And it was by author who wrote Gearbreakers, which I was like hyped for, and we read it for Facing Gaze, and I didn't enjoy it. But then I was like, but the next book by author, I think I will enjoy. And then I saw terrible reviews for this. And obviously I want to form my own opinion and I'm going to read it, but I feel like I'm not going to enjoy it because like I saw everyone just reading it and saying that it gave them absolutely nothing, like that it was impossible to follow like what was going on and stuff. And I was like, wow, how will I fare in this book? So I think that I will read it and then maybe I will like it, which obviously would be cool and we will keep it and all that. But we are getting it off my TBR. And if I don't like it, I will get rid of it, even though this is actually gorgeous. I actually love the book for this. So yeah, that is my next book, and it's also standalone, so it's not a series. And then I have planned more books out, but I guess we will talk about them after. See you then. Actually taking books from a TBR, who am I? Hello. So I have not a huge update for you, but maybe a huge one. We are going to unhaul a whole series after I talked slightly about Off With Their Heads by Sohana Makuta. It was exactly as the review said, like it is Korean mythology or Korean inspired in it with Alice in Wonderland, which could have been, I think that could have been really, really cool. Honestly, I do. But I don't think it worked well here. I didn't think that it was a good story for me. I expected a certain thing to happen that I don't want to say really, but it never did. And then it kind of just ended and I was sitting there like, oh, it didn't give me anything. So I'm definitely getting rid of it because while it is absolutely stunning and I am sad about it, it just gave me absolutely nothing. Less than a lot of the other things here. Like at least when I was reading the sequels to The Diabolic, there was like parts there that was enjoyable, but this one was nothing. And it is at least a standalone. So I would say I would give it a 1 because honestly, there was nothing in it that I enjoyed. Because of that, we are unhauling it. So now, yesterday, wait, I need to move my chair a bit here. It doesn't want to go up again. Give me a moment. Yesterday, I did actually clean the corner of like where we have been with books and stuff because I haven't touched that in months and that's why it was so messy in the corner down there. And then yesterday, I did actually clean my whole room. It looks really good here now. I'm very proud of myself. And it took me ages. But then I was gonna unhaul this in this episode anyway, but then I was like, well, I might as well dig out this series now because I was down there and it was in that corner. And I am gonna unhaul a whole series, which I have read parts of and parts of I haven't read. And usually I would not unhaul a whole series that I haven't completed, but I just don't have any absolute zero interest in the series. I was reading it and I was enjoying it like semi-fine. It was like a bit ups and downs, but it is a middle grade series that is written in a way that everything is a secret, and every time you find out something, there's a new secret. And it's a bit annoying, and at this point, it's been a really long time since I read the other books. That means I have to reread to care, and I really don't want to reread because I don't care about the series. So I just decided to get rid of it because it doesn't bring me any joy, and I don't have any interest in it. Which is bold of me to say, because who am I? Is this me, like, officially for the first time ever, if you think about it, unhauling, not just unhauling, that doesn't matter, but DNFing a series, because I'm not going to complete this. I'm not going to pick this up again, and I don't want to, and I think that's fair. Because I think about having to reread hundreds upon hundreds of pages, because they're really thick. I'm about to show you, I'm just going to make a tower, and I don't want to. I don't want to, I really don't. My whole body is screaming at me, no. So, you can see maybe parts of it already. Let's see. But it is Keeper of the Lost Cities, and they are thick. You can see they are thick. And obviously they take a short amount of time to read because they are middle grades. I just don't want to. I don't want to invest that time in it. And the paperbacks are in super nice, pristine edition because they've been hidden down there for ages. And I have read, is it 1 to 6 or 1 to 7? I'm gonna check. And I never loved it anyway. So we are saying bye-bye. Okay, so I didn't read number 7. I only read up to 6. So I haven't read it. But we are going to rid of all of these that I have read. And then I have 7 and 8 and 8.5 and 9. And then I do believe 9.5 is coming or is already out. And then there is a 10th book as well. Do you think I want to keep this and make this take space, I mean, on my shelf? And I don't even want to read them. Like, I honestly don't. And I don't want to invest again. So we are saying goodbye to this whole pile. That means we are taking out 6 books from my red shelf, obviously, which is not the most important thing for this lot, but we are also taking out 1, 2, 3, 4 books from my TBR, which is a lot, I think, to not read anything. And also, this counts for 10 books in this vlog, because it's read and or unhaul, and we are unhauling all of them, so that is 10 books out of the 100 that I don't need to deal with. And I think that's amazing. I think that I planned this perfectly without planning anything. And you should be like, wow, Sandra, you truly planned this. No, I didn't, but I just remembered I had them because they were hidden away. And I was like, well, they don't need to be here anymore. So we're saying goodbye. And then I shall start my next one. I just need to put this down. And they were in such a nice pile now as well. I hope one person or one library wants all of them. And I can have the whole series. The next one I'm going to read, I'm going to turn you. By the way, look how clean and neat. There was piles here before. And now I have so much space down here, which is amazing. But we are going to read this. Which, granted, I have read the first one, which is Steeped in Gold, which I'm not showing you properly. It was hard, okay? I am going to read a sequel, Emperor's Crown in Red, which I bought super cheap just so I could complete the series, even though I could have borrowed them in the library. And that was after knowing I didn't like the first one. I don't think I would enjoy the second one either, honestly, which I wish I would, because they look amazing. But if I don't, I can get rid of them and clear space out. And I doubt I will enjoy the second one because I didn't like their first one at all. It was about 3 different characters. One was in prison, one was disowned. I can't remember anymore. But yeah, you can clearly tell that this is going to go great. Now I'm going to film my wrap up for August. And you should see me later. Never done this one before where I have the camera on my thing and then I'm not sitting down, but I don't look terrible. So here we are. I was just having a quick update before I'm not in this room anymore. It has been a few days because I honestly need to move this a bit. Much better. Because I struggled all weekend finish my book. And it was just so long and so boring. And then I edited a lot. Like I have 4 videos ready to go right now. That is a lot for me. I use so much time editing and I don't know where the other time went. But because of that, I barely read anything. And I finished the book today. And today's Monday. So I started this book maybe Saturday, and I feel like that's a long time. As I mentioned, it was Emperor's Crown in Red, which was a sequel to the other one, and I didn't expect to love this, and it is true, I didn't. I felt like the POVs that we had were very much were too similar. The voices were too similar. I didn't really care for their journey or the story that much. I feel like if you like the first one, you will like this one, because they did feel similar, but I was already not into this one, so I didn't feel myself being absorbed into this one at all, which is obviously I kind of knew that going in a bit, so it's a bit silly. Would I enjoy them more if I reread them both? I don't have time for that, and I honestly I don't think that the story for me was for me at all. We are finding a threat, we are trying to work together, but these 2 girls want different things. I wanted to enjoy it a lot, but I alas just didn't, and it just wasn't a book for me. It felt flat with me caring for the characters and everything, but they are very pretty. In this we do have like one person who lived all her life in a cell, and another one, she like lived a privileged life, and then it all plays out from there. I really can't tell you much about the books. I didn't even really rate it because I just felt so disconnected to everything that, and I still use ages reading it, and I'm left with absolutely nothing. So there we have that, and I'm definitely unhauling, but we did get rid of one book of my TBR, which I, thinking about it, I'm reflecting now because I bought this earlier this year. I should have never bought. I have decided on the next duology I'm going to read. Both of these are actually from my TBR, not just parts of them. And I was scared that we will empty out of books we can read for this video. And I realized there's so many that some I don't want to read anymore. So it's great. Also, did a whole reshuffle yesterday, as you saw, because I think I'm going to add that in this vlog. And I took out so many books I want to get rid of. Many, many more. A lot of them I read from before, which including, I could, in theory, add them in this video and we will almost be done. Because obviously it is read and or unhaul, and I want to unhaul them. But I'm going to hold it a bit up because I still want to read more for this. I don't think we will be completely done, but we will be almost done. But I'm definitely going to take some of those because some of them I haven't read all of it. So we shall see what we can pick out. But the problem is that most of them I already read them. So I wouldn't actually touch the TBR, which then, you know, that defeats the purpose of this video, right? So like, yes, I can unhaul a bunch, but I don't actually read anything. It defeats a bit of the purpose of me getting rid of my TBR, which I realized, for example, when we read Diabolic, I didn't actually, you know, touch any books on my TBR when I read The Secrets of That. I just borrowed them in the library and unhauled one book, which I then, in theory, afterwards, I was like, this is so silly. So yeah, we are going to try to do more from a TBR. We have the duology, We Are Blood and Thunder, and We Are Bound by Stars. We Are Blood and Thunder I bought years ago, and then later found the sequel on a sale. The same with Witches Steeped in Gold. But I haven't actually read this one. This is a YA fantasy. She who spins a cloud weaves the storm. I will be honest, it looks kind of not at all up in my alley on what I enjoy now. At all. I don't think I'll enjoy it at all. But they are short. And they're both on my TBR. So I will get rid of them and complete the duology. Yay. Will I enjoy them? Maybe they will surprise me. I hope they will. But I have low hopes. As I do for everything in my life. 2 books out of my TBR though. That is why we are here. I have really reflected more on like books and stuff. Now I have more room on hardback shelves. They were at capacity. The paperback shelves, there's a room that I definitely can go over more to get rid of there. Because there's a lot of like books hidden that I don't really enjoy. And then my contemporary, I already went through pretty heavily, but I definitely can get rid of more there as well. If all of that will be included in this video or just like my actual big unhaul, which is coming up, I don't know yet, but we shall see. And then we should just continue reading. So I will report back to you. I'm sorry that my review for Empress Crown in Gold was so flimsy, but I don't have any more flimsy thoughts about it. So, yay. Hello. Today, I have finished a couple of books. And I did read We Are Blood, and then I read We Are Bound by Stars. A series that was not at all for me. Another one where I felt disengaged and not interested at all. I feel like it was bad off from the get-go. I was confused because I thought we weren't serious. And then we followed different characters in the second one. And I was like... So, yeah. It kind of is 2 different books. And then obviously they did kind of cover change as well, as you can see. I don't even know what to tell you about the plots. Because I was not engaged in it. But it's just a very typical kind of YA. We have to like pitch it better. Because like for me, I don't know like how to pitch it without sounding super sad. But we have 2 different characters. One is running for her life. Another one is trying to return home. Both looking for a place where they belong. And I just feel like there was nothing distinct in it that made me care for the story. I'm sad to say. So, I don't have a lot to say about it. I feel like I was actually more slightly interested in this one. Because we had like... It was easy to distinguish between the characters, for example. I didn't care. And I know that's not a proper review. But I don't like have more to say. Look, the spines don't even match. And I'm gonna unhaul it. And we got rid of 2 books on my TBR, which I was not engaged in at all. So we're just moving on, honestly. And then I had to choose there and then, because I was not home, to pick the next books. I was just like, oh my god, what do I pick? So I was like scrolling through a little bit on my like phone to try to figure out. But I found some that I already took out of my shelves when I was reshelving on Sunday. So we have Hunted by Megan Spooner, which I now already read. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling that I own for many years. And Megan Spooner is an author that writes with Amy Kaufman a lot. And I did read one Is that one with... Yes, I did read these Broken Stars, which... Is that with Amy Kaufman? I can't see from here. I do believe so. And actually, that was a weird YA sci-fi, but it was like they're stranded in space, and then they were like, need to walk around and then survive, and then they fall for each other. And I actually enjoyed that. Like, I give it a 3 when I look at the rating, but I did have a good time with it. And I do own them. And I have been interested in their other like collabs, etc. But this is Megan Spooner alone, and it is a standalone YA retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I have noticed I've fallen off a bit with retellings lately. I used to love them a lot, and now I just can't really get around to them. But it was an easy, nice read, and there was a lot of pages that were blank. Like, every time we switch POV, it's like a blank page, another blank page. I'm trying to show you here. And I like, it's like kind of Beast POV, but it's just like kind of his thoughts a bit, and then we are in the next chapter. And I don't know what to tell you. I was thinking about ACOTAR when reading it, but it's also because that starts out as a Beauty and the Beast retelling a bit. But it was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But I did end up giving it a 2 because I was left with like whatever with it. I feel like they're kind of more in this than actual Beauty and the Beast. Like, they are more hunting each other and not like a couple instantly, so it doesn't follow like the exact Beauty and the Beast retelling. Not that ACOTAR does either, though, like, as that the world does, we all know. Overall, I just felt completely fine. I feel my concentration being very, very bad lately, especially since I feel like I'm just reading all books I'm not really interested in. So maybe doing all of this in like one vlog after one another is not the best idea. I'm hoping that later I will feel like if I read something really good and really bad, I will feel more motivated, like research around on it. But now I already kind of know I'm not going to be that interested in it. If I read this like among a lot of other maybe really great books, I would have felt differently. But again, it wasn't a terrible book. I feel like probably there are parts of it that are fine, but I am unhauling it because I don't need to keep it because I'm probably never going to reread it. I owned it just for many years, and I just been losing interest in it as the years has passed. Was this released in 2017, I think? We look, because we know I own a lot of books that we have a long time. 2017, yes. I probably bought it that same year, if not within the same time. That is like 8 years old, that book. There's nowhere I lost interest in it. And I do also have Sherwood. This one I didn't buy myself. I had it on my wish list, and Fiji bought it for me. Thank you so much to Fiji. This is obviously then a Robin Hood retelling. I do have a feeling that I might feel the same about this as I felt about the other one. They obviously are not in series, but they do kind of like match a bit in the retelling thing. But maybe I will like it more. I do like Robin Hood a lot, so we shall see. But I shall read this tomorrow. It is longer as well, so there's a bigger chance that I can like live in it more. But at least we will read something off my TBR. I have not owned it as long though, but I had it on my wishes for a long time because I had this, and then like later I reflected more upon like what I should have on my wish list. I owned this 2023, so it's not that long ago. But that doesn't mean I'm not grateful or anything like that. I am going to read it, and I am excited a bit because Robin Hood retellings maybe will feel better for me. So that is the one I'm going to read tomorrow, but then we will see if I get to more books. But I haven't decided what, so I might come and have read more than this the next time. Yay! We're home. We're alive. Barely. Today I did read Sherwood, as I told you I would. It was a Robin Hood retelling. We followed the POV of his love. What is her name again? Marianne. And obviously I just have the This Movie with Animals playing in my head as we go through this. But it was okay. Look, I didn't hate it. I don't think it was a bad book in general. But it also didn't keep me super engaged. I found myself being like, trying really hard to like it because I really wanted to like it, and I liked it fine. I just feel like it's just an okay read, and it was an okay retelling. It does say on Megan Spooner like Goodreads page that there's like some sort of Peter Pan book coming, so that's maybe her next retelling. It's been a couple of years since this one on. Yeah, again, it was okay. I think it was an interesting take on the book because like obviously you expect a certain kind of Robin Hood retelling, but then the author does turn that a bit, and I thought that was interesting. However, it didn't like keep me super engaged, and like I wasn't super caring for the story and the characters as per usual apparently in my whole existence. But still, like, it was a fine read. I don't think it was a bad book. I just felt totally fine about it. I don't really need to keep it though, and I don't really need to reread it ever. But I did read it, and it was an okay time. I don't have more to say, honestly. Again, I think that it did a fun thing with its retelling. Yeah, I don't really have like that much negative, or just for me, it was like something that I was super, 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 super engaged in and loved forever, if you know what I mean. Then I started the next one for this vlog, which I did mention that I would just start, so I decided that to be The Valiant by Leslie Livingston. She's a girl that is captured and being forced to become a gladiator. Soon done with it, but I'm reading it in the library. Like, she's being taken and then like brought and forced, as I said, to be a gladiator, and there's this dude that likes her, and then he wants to like buy her contract and stuff, and I was just like, that's a bit weird. That's a bit weird, because then he would own her, so I don't get it. Yeah, it's about like, I guess like a bit of sisterhood, etc., and like finding together as women, which I guess is cool. But again, feeling a bit disengaged and not like super into it. But I don't hate these. I just don't feel like, I feel like if I read them a few years ago, you know, I would like love them and be like, oh my god, and super into it. And now I just feel like, whatever. This is a trilogy, and as we know, I want to read the rest before unhauling this. So I have bought the rest of the trilogy, but I don't own them. But we are interacting with them in this vlog, so it does count then as 3 books. We have been very good at only picking books from like TBR, and not borrowing things. But I broke down. Also, as I mentioned on Friday, I took out a bunch of books from my shelves. And again, I could have just unhaul them here. But a lot of them are the first one, not the rest, but I don't own the rest, so they wouldn't go out of my TBR. So I'm unsure if I should do them later. The best would be to do them in as well, but then it doesn't actually affect my TBR numbers once again. So I was trying to be like, we really need to focus on the actual TBR numbers, but I'm like, but I also want to focus on the unhaul. So there's 2 parts of this vlog in my head in a way. Not 2 parts, but 2 consequences is maybe the better word. But yeah, I will keep you updated on this. My reviews suck in this because I don't have that much to say about these books. I don't care enough about them to have that much more to say. But I'm gonna go and try to finish that and do some other things. Hello, me procrastinating uploading vlogs. I need to stop that. But I did yesterday finish The Valiant, or I had already finished this because we already talked about this, but I read its sequels, The Defiant and The Triumphant, which again are not on my TBR, but I bought them in the library to complete the series and to say goodbye. It is, as I said, about a girl who is taken in and forced to be a gladiator, and then she gets to fight for freedom, etc., and then it evolves from there. And we have different friendships and romance and dramatics happening. And I don't think that the books were honestly, like, I don't think they were bad. A lot of the things I don't think is bad. But it's like, I don't need to hold on to this. I feel like it's weird also for me to hold on to the first one in this. If I don't get the rest, I'm not going to buy the rest. I feel like it was a fine, okay book. I feel like I would have loved it more maybe another time. But there was not in it anything that was like really stood out to me, which I feel like with a lot of YA fantasy lately, etc., that is like, it's going to stick in my brain and be like, oh my god, a book I will think about. I don't know if it's because like it can't call my attention like YA fantasy used to do a few years ago, and therefore like it obviously disappears faster, or it's because like I read so much of it that I'm overstimulating my brain from it, so that like for me it doesn't feel unique enough to stick in there. It can be a mix of both, but it was fine. Like it wasn't terrible. It was a fine, okay read. And I am again unhauling, and the rest of the series is not being bought, but we have interacted with 3 out of the 100, which is great. And that brings us up to 41, I think. And then I have, in the background of this, been a little sneaky, because I was unsure if I could count this, unless me and Erica did not finish it. Because Erica and I listened to audiobook together, outside my normal reading, and then obviously I do have it in wrap-ups and vlogs, but it's not normally like something I have on TBRs and stuff. And we got, because we randomized what we're going to listen to, Mr. Impossible by Maggie Seawater. This is the 2nd book in the Dreamer trilogy, which is the sequel trilogy following Ronan Lynch from the Raven Cycle, or the Raven Boys, if that is a more known name for it. So I had this, and this was on my TBR, so it's pulled out of my TBR, and it's away, which is really great. And I knew I was probably gonna unhaul it. I do have the first one as well, and this one we listened to earlier, and like, but since I am now gonna unhaul it, we are taking it here into this vlog, and we are saying goodbye to it, because we also, even though we only got this, we usually randomize the next one, but I asked if we could just listen to the last book, Grey Warren, which we now finished like 15 minutes ago, so that I could like say goodbye to the whole thing and include them in these vlogs. That means it's just like extra reading on the side I've been doing, and I got to take them in here. So that's 3 books that we interacted with, and 2 I'm unhauling, and this one was on my TBR. I was actually planning to buy Grey Warren because I thought that I would keep this. I didn't know that I was not gonna like them at all because like I don't love Vermibos, but I'm gonna keep them. I feel nostalgic towards them. They do have some sort of like atmosphere that is fascinating and enjoyable in a way, but I never rated the books really highly, and like, but I think the characters were funny. I think parts of the books were funny. We also don't really like the narrator for the audiobooks, so maybe we should have eyeball read them anyway. But this one was just so wild because Ronan Lynch is a dreamer and he had dream powers, and it's super annoying because you don't know what's real or not, or like you don't even know if you're dreaming or not. And there was this line that kept going over and over in this a bit, but also in the last one especially, where he says, "Am I awake or am I dreaming?" And it's like over and over and over and over. It's literally like, and we also listen to 3x speed, so it's like, "Am I awake? Am I dreaming? Am I awake? Am I dreaming? Am I awake? Am I dreaming? Am I awake? Am I dreaming?" And it becomes very emotional, and we were just like, "Oh my god, please stop." And now we just say it to each other all the time, and it's only been 15 minutes and we already said it to each other like 20 times, so it's gonna be a thing. But that was just a tiny part of like the book that I was just like, what is going on right now? A lot of the part is literally, is he awake or is he dreaming? Someone is in danger and then they're suddenly gone. Someone is in danger and then they're suddenly gone. We're on the road, we meet different characters that we don't care for. We follow his different brothers. We are in a relationship, we are not in a relationship. We don't get any background for what happened to this relationship. Then suddenly we are in this relationship and I'm just like, what is happening? Like I literally cannot fasten my head on around anything. And usually when I audiobook, especially with Erica, I do certain things and then I really immerse myself in the audiobook. Like I journal and then I get very immersed. Or I play like a certain, like, for example, like Genshin, which I haven't played in a while, but I want to play again. Like things like that, that really makes me focus on the audio. But this audio was just like, it flew over my head. It's not like I wasn't listening or keeping up, but it was more like, I couldn't keep up with the story because there was no, like, grounded story that I felt like I was following. And it was just super, super annoying to me. And none of us liked it. I gave this second and third book 1 star each, and this one is getting a low 2, and that's why I'm not keeping them. Again, I'm keeping Rainbows because I feel like they are like separate one entity of the story, and I'm gonna pretend that this one doesn't exist. And I just like, I was just so annoyed, and it was so weird to follow, and I was surprised that I felt that strongly, honestly, because when we were listening, I was just like, wait, is there actually anything happening? We had no clue. It was super weird and dreamy and just not at all for me. So the next one I have now started today, that is the next series we are dealing with here, is Lion Game, which is a book series that I had on my TBR for literally ages. Like it's been one of the books that I own the longest. This is the first one, same author as Pretty Little Liars, and it does follow this twin that has died, and then she kind of is not possessing, but she's following this twin that is alive, and they didn't know about each other. And now the alive twin is taking over her life, but not like on purpose. It's more like she's trying to find her and find out how to kill her, and then she's following her and she's trying to find out who killed her. So like the I perspective, the like I first perspective is the twin who died, and then like this third person is like the twin who was alive. And there was a TV show made of this years ago, and I watched all of that, and I was always planning to read the books. This is why I own them. So I owned them for like, well, at least since 2011 maybe, so that is like what, 13 years or something? I can't do math. So it's a long time since I owned them and never read them, but I did enjoy this TV show somewhat. It was a bit annoying, etc., as those kind of TV shows often are, but I still watched the whole thing, and then it was cancelled, so we never got like proper answers. But I know they changed a lot of things, because I know in a TV show, for example, Sutton, who is the twin who is dead, is not actually dead. Like from the get-go, she asks Emma, who's the twin who's alive, to take over her life for a period, and then she dies. While here, she's dead from the first page, and then we follow her POV, be like, I can't actually remember my life, how did I die? So in this one, we're just following, like, introducing her life, Sutton's life, and then her friends are doing these like pranks, which is called like Lion Games, and it's very like dragged out pranks that are kind of dangerous. So that is why she thinks, for example, that her friends maybe have killed her by accident. And then there's 6 books, so I don't know if we actually reveal the killer until the like 6th and last book, but I don't know. So I only own 3, but I have decided to borrow the next 3, which I already done on the library. I finished the first one today. I haven't touched these yet, but I'll try to read one more tonight. And I know already from reading this that I will not keep. That is more because I don't want to buy the rest of the series. I don't think it's that good. I feel like it's a kind of like mystery I would have enjoyed in 2011. But now I don't think I enjoyed that much. I have read like 12 Pretty Little Liars books. I never finished the series, but I read like a lot of them. And I thought they were entertaining, etc. But I didn't even like, I remember like as I was the age they were written for, I rated them like 3 stars, but I still thought they were interesting and fun, and they're like 300 pages fast-paced books. But now that I'm reflecting more on my collection of what I'm going to keep and what I actually want to have space for, it's not something that I need to keep, even though like it brings some sort of nostalgia in a way, but I never read them, so I don't really care that much. But I will complete the whole series because I own it for so long, and again, like, need to make the money worth it, and then I will report back to you. So what if I love them? What if I end up loving the next 5? I will then, of course, keep and then buy the rest. But right now, I do feel like it's most likely not going to happen. But I'm still intrigued because, honestly, I don't remember from the TV show if we ever revealed who her killer was. And maybe they also like changed it in TV show. I don't know. I watched all of Pretty Little Liars as well, and there was a lot of changes from the TV show and the books, etc. But yeah, that is the next one we are dealing with, and it is Friday today, so it's Friday and it's weekend. I wanted to say that I wanted to finish all of them tomorrow, but I need to go to this birthday party thing, so I don't think that's gonna happen. And then on Sunday I have Melancholy night, so we just see what happens. And then on last Friday, as we know, sorted through a lot of my books, and I knew that I could, in theory, include books I'm just gonna unhaul. That is like, no, I don't need to read anything to Unhaul because I've finished all series, but I want to actually use that as a booster in the end if I'm very tired of this log. But also I now have a bunch of books I've taken out where I already maybe read parts of the series, like for example with, not this, but like as an example, I've read the first one and I own the next, but not the rest of the series. So I have a couple where I like read the first one and then the next one is on my TBR, and the rest I probably need to borrow. Then we do get rid of a couple of books on my TBR, but overall we are like almost split even or like a bit more of things that's not actually on the actual TBR. So there's that. Am I failing this vlog? I don't know. And then we have a bunch of other things where I have the first and I do want to get rid of it, but I want to finish the rest, like for example with Diabolic and then Unhaul. So we are unhauling a lot, but not taking away that much from my actual TBR thing, which is kind of the point here. So we should see if I find a balance, because I have a couple of series written up that have much more off that is on my TBR. I should have talked about this in the beginning, but I didn't realize it was going to be this much big of a split of like different things you can do where you own some, you don't know any, and you own the whole thing. Because I realized that even if I read like all the things where I own the whole thing, those are not necessarily like the ones that, you know, these are all the ones that I kind of feel like I will get rid of as I read them. That is the whole point of this episode. So we just see if I like do like every second one of that. I don't know why I'm explaining all of this to you, but it's probably maybe interesting. Either way, we are going to do line game and then we shall see what happens. And yeah, see you soon. Hello, it's been a few days, but I have finished the line game, which is, as we know, I only own the 3 of them, and then I read the next 3 on Libby, and I must say that I am glad I finished the series. I don't need to keep it. I'm never going to reread it because now that you know who it is, it's kind of no point. And I would say that I enjoyed some parts of it. However, the concept of the story is, as I said, like the twin sister dead, and then we're trying to find a killer, and every book is like, oh my god, it's this person. I think I already talked about this. And then we know it's not going to be that person because every time we investigate into that person, it's kind of obvious it's not going to be them, because why would there be more books in the series? So then you kind of know that until the end, you know that it's not going to be revealed until the end anyway. So you kind of just know that every investigation we are doing is pointless, even though, yes, it is puzzle pieces together. But then, like, the author was really still, I think, trying to be like, oh! But I think that the author also put up the pieces that we could guess who it was. I guessed, I think, in book 1, because I was pretty sure it was that person. And I was right. And I'm not saying that is like, that means the book is bad, but like, oh my god, it was obvious. I think the author put these pieces in place so that the reader would feel satisfied guessing the killer. That is at least my opinion. And I think that she did a good job. I think that the books can definitely be like maximum 3 books, maybe 4. 6 was a lot, even though they are short and quick reads. But the books got me a bit in the end, because then at that point I had started to care for the story, and I did start to care for this family, and it had an ending for me that emotionally connected to me a lot, because I love found family, and I was just like, some of the lines they said to each other made me very emotional and happy, and I realized by the end that, like, okay, I cared. So I gave actually the last book because I had a good time with it. 4 stars, while the rest got like either 3 or 2.5, etc. There's one which was just like really tired of the concept. I gave it like a 2, but then this last one I gave a 4 because I genuinely liked the ending. I genuinely liked how the story wrapped up, and I had a really like entertaining time with at least the last book. Even as we revealed the killer, and I was just like, obviously, I was just like, not smiling because people get killed, but I was smiling because at that point you like a happy ending, if you can call it that. So it was a ride. I like that there was a lot of development for everyone, and I enjoyed the story. But let's say I actually own the rest of the series, I'm still very, very unsure if I will actually keep them all, because I just don't see myself ever want to reread them. And yeah, but I don't regret reading them. It's like one of the few I don't regret reading, but I'm not going to buy the rest, and I just don't need them. So we are unhauling, even though we had a good time, but we did take some off my TBR, which is great. And I decided the next book for this, which is, it's right here in front of me. I made a little tower of books in front of me. So we have A Wicked Thing by Rhiannon Thomas. Yes, this is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. I've been a bit off-put by retellings lately. I've had a lot of fun lately over the last few years, but for this, like, not this challenge, but to take down my TBR, when I read my pals, there was a lot of retellings, and I just felt like I don't care about retellings anymore, because then you just read a story that you already know in a way. However, I heard good things about it years ago, and then I bought this, but I didn't buy the sequel, so I'm going to borrow the sequel. I do think that I'm not going to like it enough to keep it, but I owned it for a really, really long time. It's one of the books I owned the longest on my TBR, so we will get one book off my TBR, and then one book borrowed, and we will also finish the whole duology. So I think I'm just knocking it out of the park, even though overall only half of the books we interact with here are from my actual TBR. So yeah, that's I'm going to read tomorrow. Hopefully I will get to both of them tomorrow, but we shall see. I used a few days online game because I was busy doing other things, and then I also had to read some library loans that was expiring that has nothing to do with this vlog, because obviously they're not on my TBR. And yeah, I will get back to you, but online game was a good time, but I'm not keeping, so see you later. Hello, we have been in this position for every single clip for this vlog, but that is okay. So I finished now before the weekend A Wicked Thing and its sequel. I actually can't remember the title, I have to check it. Kingdom of Ashes, and it is, as I said when I was going to start it, a Sleeping Beauty retelling. It's about her waking up after 100 years, and then she needs to figure out how to, well, politic and survive through all the like changes that has happened, and everyone who wants to use her as a symbol, etc. It was extremely boring. I didn't actually care for it a bit, and I didn't enjoy myself, and again I voted 2, and I'm definitely gonna unhaul this. I just don't think that the characters were compelling, or like the story was compelling, and it's not because it was a Sleeping Beauty retelling, it just wasn't for me a book that's gonna stick with me. And we are saying goodbye to this, which is short and sweet, honestly, because I don't have that much more to say. But in the beginning I had high hopes because I thought it was intriguing as you work up, and then I just like, it kind of went nowhere for me. Like the romance, the story, the characters, it just wasn't interesting. But it did have some dragons, which obviously we do enjoy. And then in the weekend I didn't read anything for this vlog because I did a readathon. I read only books on my TBR, so obviously they're not for this vlog because they were picked for other reasons, but that means that the number on my TBR has gone down, but it's also gone up because other things has been hauled in the meanwhile we've been doing this. But we will talk about that in the end. But that does mean that I didn't get to do a lot of progress, and I know that today, I think, we have had this vlog for months, so there's that. And we are not halfway. I mean, we are a bit over halfway, but yeah, I need to stop talking, honestly. Then next we are reading, which is, the point here is, I have decided, The Aurora Cycle, which I have read book 1 in by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. For Aurora that has like been on shift for a really long time, and then a lot of people want her, and then she joins this crew for a lot of characters I didn't care for. I have its sequel in like the Goldsboro Special Edition. They don't match because this is a year's edition and this is the Goldsboro Special Edition, so this one is a bit taller and it's numbered and signed and everything. This is also signed to me, so there's that. I paid a lot to get that. So I will read this and the third book, which I will borrow, and I probably know that I'm not going to enjoy them. The thing that makes me apprehensive of getting rid of these is because, as I said, this is signed and personalized to me, and I don't have a lot of personalized books because authors don't come to Norway. But then I don't like the book at all, so I'm like, do I keep a book just because it has my name in it? If so, I will only keep this. This is, as I said, also a special edition. I don't know if this is proper, if people want it or whatever, but I didn't get it off the third one because at that point I didn't care. But yeah, I actually read this pretty recently, so then I should read its sequels, which means that we interact with 3 books, but only take 1 book out of my TBR, which seems to be the trend for most of the things we do here. But it's a good time, so I'll let you know what happens whenever that happens. Hello, hello. It is a new day, new life, and all that. Did finish up. What is this series called? Aurora Cycle, and I didn't care, and I kind of already knew I didn't care. And I would not admit that maybe that's like, some would say I wouldn't give the series the fairest chance, but I just was not invested in this world of these characters. Too many POVs I didn't care for, just didn't find it that good. maybe I could have enjoyed it more, for example, on audio, which I keep saying, and lately my audios have been not that great either, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I read the 3rd one, obviously I borrowed that, so I finished the whole series, and I just think the best thing is to unhaul it and forget that I ever read them. Which is a bit sad, but also perfect to get this out of my TBR and both of them out of this place. So for the next one, I have chosen out this series of Fire and Stars. This one was promoted when it came out a couple of years ago now, as like prince and the princess is engaged, then she falls for the prince's sister instead. So it's like lesbian, love that. Read it, it was totally okay. I feel like what I struggled with was that I felt like the relationship didn't build up that well. But I do believe when I checked like Goodreads, I have given it a 4. I don't know if I meant it as a 4 at the time, but I did give it a 4. And then now it's been many years. I don't know if I've enjoyed the story anymore. But we do have Ink Mistress. This is actually a prequel in the series. And I bought this because like I already had this. So this is always on my TBR. Then there is a 2nd book, like an actual sequel to these. I'm going to read this first, then the sequel, which I borrowed. And if I actually gave like this 4 and the next one as well, I guess I need to keep them and then get the sequel. But if not, I am willing to unhaul, even though I don't like to unhaul. I don't generally like to unhaul, but then I want to keep shit. But like, I don't like to unhaul even more queer books or Out of Color because it stinks extra much, I think. So that is my next plan. So my next plan is literally to read Ink Mistress and then the sequel to this of, it's not of Fire Stars, it's of something. So yeah, I will let you know when I've done that, and then we can move over to something else as well. We have so many, and I'm just getting, by every series we read, I'm getting rid of 1 book on my TBR, so there's that as well. But at least I'm finishing up a lot of series, so that is also cool, you know? Hello. So I have now read, if we can get them out. I read, not the 5 stars, that I already read, but I did read Ink Mistress, and I did actually miss, I feel a bit silly, of how it is connected to the rest of the world, but it's 0.5. Maybe we're in the same world. Do we have some of the same characters? I couldn't remember because it's been so long since I read this, but we don't have any of the main characters in this one. And this one was fine. We do have a bit like dark magic for a bit. We have these 2 girls that were in a relationship, and then one of them had to marry a dude, and the other girl didn't want her to get married. And then things happen. We do try to take down this king and this kingdom for a bit, and then these 2 girls interact, but then one of the girls actually meets a dude. It's a whole thing. The story was a bit of a mess and it wasn't that engaging, but it was totally fine. It was okay. I liked it okay, but I do think I liked this more. I felt like the story here was more fun, but it's, again, many years since I read this one, but it was okay and fine. And then I read the sequel to this one, the direct sequel, number 2, which I do believe the author wasn't mentioned because it was never, like, it wasn't intended as a sequel, I think, at first. But then it came a sequel because it was popular, which is obviously cool. We love to see that. So it was of Ice and Shadows. And I did absolutely not like that. I did not have a good time with it. It was incredibly boring. And obviously after the aftermath of this one, I can't remember the ending. And like, I wanted to be with our girls and the people that we had started to care for and their relationship and follow that. And it was like barely any of the relationships development between them. And it was barely about them. And it was all about like powers and like different politics stuff and a lot of other like side characters that I didn't care for. So I did not care for the story. I did not need a sequel and I didn't particularly have a good time with it. It's a bit annoying because at the time when I read this, I did apparently give it a 4. I do feel like more of a 3 now. But I still enjoyed it and I do think the concept of it is fun. I just don't think the book was amazing. And then this one was just totally fine. And then the second one I hated. In a way, not hated, but it's just like I didn't care for it at all. So like in theory, the best thing would be to keep this and like have it as a trophy of a book I enjoyed on my shelves. But now I feel like since I just didn't enjoy the rest and I just feel totally okay about this, I'm also fine with getting rid of all of them. So difficult sometimes, but that is how we are ending up, I think, to just unhaul both of these. And obviously I would never buy the second one anyway, because I don't think either way, even if I think that this is a fine book, that I will ever want to reread it. Suddenly Unhauling is like whoosh, whoosh, let's go. Then I considered what books I should read next for this. I've been very up and down because we do have a lot of books left and I am just like, I need this to end. But a lot of the ones I want to read next, actually you can see a lot of them in the pile behind me, is books where I read the first one, I don't own the sequels. It's not actually on my TBR, but we could finish them up and we can unhaul something. So they would count, but I just feel like that we actually don't do any progress on my TBR. So I'm going to try to do like, switch a bit between them. And then I would try to read a whole series that's on my TBR. And I decided for that to be The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. So I have all 4. So these are 4 books on my TBR. I will go out of my TBR regardless of me keeping them or not. Why do I own all of them? Well, you need to ask Passandra that, honestly. But I have now read a lot of different Alexandra Bracken books. And all the ones I read recently I have not enjoyed. I did also remember that I read Prosper Reading, which is the middle grade by her. And it's probably the one I enjoyed the most. But then I'm also considering getting rid of that. So it is in my maybe I shouldn't hold these pile because, yeah. But that is another discussion for another day. So at this point, this is a Why Dystopia series. I know that they get powers, and that is what I know of it. And I know there's a movie, but I never watched it. So I do want to read them, and I have all of them. So we are going to read the whole series. But I'm very unsure if I would like them because some YA that is older, we know us from this Y that I haven't enjoyed, but obviously I haven't enjoyed a lot of it in the past, and there are new YA that I have enjoyed, etc. But this is a Why Dystopia. It's been ups and downs with them lately in this and in the last one I read the things from my piles as well. Very unsure where we'll land, but I shall start it now tonight and then finish it hopefully before September ends so that I don't need to split it. But it's only, again, 2 days left, so we shall see. 4 books out of my TBR. And we shall see if I keep them or not. Only time will tell. So I'll keep you updated on that. So I did finish some stuff and then I procrastinated talking to you. But we did finish, if I can get the books here. Whoa! It was about to fly off, honestly. It was rude. I did finish Darkest Minds, and then we have Never Fade. And then this is actually the 4th, but we have In the Afterlife, and we have done The Doctor's Legacy. This is the 4 books in the series, and I owned them for a long while. But actually, I didn't own them for as long as I actually wanted them, because I do remember I wanted them before, but then they weren't available in this height, so I had to buy them like in hardcover, and that was obviously more expensive at the time. Still more expensive, but like, prices have been so wild anyway. So then suddenly they were re-released in UK, and then I got the height that is the one I mostly collect. So then I could get like these editions and not the hardcovers. And honestly, it was a waste of money. I just couldn't get into the story. I know a lot of people really love it, but it is about a dystopian world in the US, and then like 90-80% of the children die. And the ones that are left have abilities, and then they're trying to like categorize the children into different like groups, etc. And like trying to control the children in different ways. And then we have like the story develop from there. I feel like most of the story was just being on the road and doing nothing. Like, it was so boring. And it was so much like traveling, and I found myself really not being able to like immerse myself in the story at all, which I feel like I said about a lot of these, which is also obviously a big reason why they're here, because I can predict that I'll probably not like them. I did hope that this would be good, because obviously I love Hunger Games, and another Why Dystopia I really enjoyed in its time was Uglies, which I really loved. If I read this maybe when I loved those kinds of books back in the day, I might have felt completely different. But now I just couldn't care. I do want to kind of see the movie though, just to see like how it is as a movie, but I also know that the movie was quite bad, apparently, so there's that. But I just, honestly, I could not care for a single thing. Even when we got to the 4th one, and like the aftermath, and I was just like, was this book even necessary? Absolutely not. But yeah, so I am unhauling all 4. They take a lot of space. It was like over 500 pages each, and I was so bored throughout the whole thing. But again, I know a lot of people enjoy them. I feel like I'm reading them very at the wrong time, and maybe I will regret, but then I can just get them again later. But honestly, I don't think I will. So we are moving on from that. So for one Why Dystopia to another, I then decided to finish up Divergent. So many years ago, I did read Divergent, and I did read Insurgent. I think I read Insurgent in the last year of high school, which was like 2016. So it's been 9 years since I read the second one. I don't remember. I think I read like probably this one a bit before that, but I never read Allegiant, which I have owned for years and years and years, and it does not match the others in height, which is the tragedy of my life. I did not think that I would enjoy this because honestly, like at this point, I don't care that much about like Divergent in general, but it is another very popular YA dystopia series. It was also a movie franchise, and I did that I never finished, but I did like enjoy the movie, at least the first one, and then I know they changed too much in the second one. That's why it wasn't good anymore. And Divergent is a movie I occasionally think of, and it's like, maybe I should watch that. Like that is how I feel to the story. It's not like with Hunger Games I want to read it over and over. But yeah, in this one we are in factions, and the different factions are like selfless, dauntless, blah 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 blah. The one is not called selfless, etc. But our main character is Divergent, which means that she can belong to several factions, and then they're hunting down Divergents, etc. There's a lot of things real in the world. The thing is that I was spoiled for everything that happens in Allegiance, which is probably why I never felt inclined to pick it up, because I knew everything that was going to happen next. Now I read it because then I got it out of my TBR, you know? And I didn't care at this point, because obviously I knew everything that was going to happen, so I just didn't care. But I finished the series and it's out of my TBR. It is a bit weird because I actually think that these covers are like low-key nice, and they've been like a sample series on my shelves for a lot of years, which feels weird, but they don't match, and I don't think I ever want to reread, honestly. Like they don't match in height, so I decided to get rid of them, which like I feel more attached to Divergent because obviously I'm like in the hype of Divergent in its time. The Darkest Minds I don't care for because obviously I was never in its hype anyway, but Divergent it feels weird to get rid of because again it's like a sample thing, and obviously series like this, like they resurface and start to become popular, like they get like a little like boost. But I'm fine with not owning it. Like I read the whole like Match trilogy, which was also another YA dystopia trilogy, and occasionally I'll think of that, but I never actually want to reread it. And I feel the same about the Word. Like I owned it for all these years, and I never had the urge to reread. I don't think I ever will. So we're gonna read that as well. But yeah, again, didn't really care for this, and as we know, knew everything that was gonna happen. My next book today, or yesterday, I guess, is That Angel's Tree. This is a 200-page book, and it's in Norwegian. It follows these people that either been hunted by the angels, or are they the angels? This is the last one in trilogy, and I don't even own the rest. And I bought this because it was on sale for like 20 NOK in the bookstore I worked in at the time, which is like $2 or something. I don't even know. I can't convert money right now. But I read 1 and 2 a long time ago and borrowed them in the library. And then I was like, oh my god, number 3, I never read that. I never finished the series, so now I can read it. And now I owned it for like, probably since 2016, 2017 as well. And I just thought I could read it now. Like it's on my TBR, and then I'm going to get rid of it because I don't need to own the 3rd book in the series that I'm never going to get the rest of. I think at the time I was planning to get rest. Now that's not going to happen. I think they've been hunted by angels and there's like some time stuff, but I might mixing it with Anglophos, which is another Scandinavic thing with angels, but that is originally in Swedish. That one I actually love, so I'm not going to get rid of that. But will I remember anything reading this 200-page book? Probably not. Will I read it anyway to get it out of my TBR? Yes. So we're going to do that today, and we complete another thing and get it out of my TBR. And then I don't know what I'm doing next after that, but that seems like a problem for me later today. And now I'm going to film another video, so you should see me then. Is this angle workable? We're dealing. I put you in my bookshelf because we're dealing. I finished some things because sometimes I'm not in a position where I can upload this vlog and then things have been finished. I finished the other day That Angel's Tree, as I said I would. I don't really think that it was anything in it that I found particularly like enjoyable. It's been, as I said, many years since I read the last one, and I wouldn't even say that the book was terrible, but it was trying to do like time stuff and trying to do like this a bit of a full circle moment, and I was just like, since I actually can't remember how the series started, it didn't really have any impact on me. Granted, that can be my fault, but also it's a sort of YA, at least like Norwegian YA, that I have gone out of a lot as well. So I didn't end up like loving it at all, but I have now read it and it's out of my TBR and I will unhaul it. So there's that. Then I decided, because I do have a little pile of books that I picked out that I want to unhaul, but I want to read the rest of the series. Perfect vlog to do that for is this one, even though then I wouldn't actually take anything out of my TBR. I will only get to unhaul books, which is also a bit part of this exact episode, which I've been saying since the beginning. But it does make me feel a bit guilty, because it's like, I'm not actually taking out books from TBR. I'm just reading some books and getting rid of the first one or some of the first ones. But I decided to for the rest of the vlog, at least it's not even that many, it's like 3-4 series maybe. Try to do every second. So like this one, Date Angels 3 was a book on my TBR. The next one is Ice Wolves and Scorched Dragons. This is 1 and 2 in the Elemental series by Abby Kaufman, which follows these kids that grows up kind of in this like society where they bond with wolves or do they turn into wolves? Yes, they act like wolves and then they're at war with the dragons. And then we have these twins, and then maybe one of them is more dragon-like than what they would like, and it evolves from there. I did think it was like fun and cute when I first read it. It's a couple of years since I read this and this, but I don't feel like it's a series I think about or a series I need to keep, even though the covers are cute and all that. I just like don't need it, you know? And I read it a long time ago, and I like literally hidden them behind other books. And then I'm like, oh, I own these, so they're just taking space here. So I read the last one in the series today, which is Battleborn. So obviously these were not in my TBR, only in my red books. But I have decided to unhaul it because after reading the third book, I literally couldn't remember a single thing, obviously, from these, because these are a couple of years since I got them and read them. And I think that even if I had like all 3 books and read them now, I think it would have been time to unhaul them anyway, even though, again, they are super cute. And I don't think it's a bad series. It's a fun middle grade series that has good elements, and it's about working together, and I was going to say confronting your prejudices. I can't say the word sometimes. It just goes in my brain and I can't say it. And also it's late, I'm supposed to go to bed. I think that it had some good parts and it had like good family aspects. So I would recommend it as a middle grade series. I just don't need to keep it. But I now finished the series and it's gone from my not my TBR that I own, which is the point of this, but also I get to unhaul 2 whole books and I get to count it as 3 whole books for this video, which is amazing. But Angels only counted for 1 because I don't own any of the rest. So I have piles everywhere because I own whole piles and wrapper piles and etc. And I forgot that I should actually get them all in the piles for this vlog for the thumbnail, but I haven't done that, so now I need to assemble everything when this is over. Then I decided to go back to reading something on my TBR since I was deciding at this moment to do every second one from my TBR. So I read The Night House by Jo Nesbø, which is a Norwegian famous crime author. This is about like a 14-year-old child, and then he calls this night house place, and then weird things happen. It had a lot of weird fatphobia in it. It was just really weird, and I didn't enjoy myself at all. Granted, I got this for free through work, so it's like I didn't spend any money on it, but it was on my TBR and I read it and I can safely unhaul it. I am considering reading more Jo Nesbø for this, but it depends how many books we have left after I've gone through some of these. But I didn't enjoy it at all, and I gave it 1 star. It was just super weird and I just didn't feel spooked or anything by it. It was just really weird. Did not enjoy, and I seen it have in general terrible reviews, but also like he writes adult Nordic noir crime novels, and then this one was like a weird disguised YA book that they tried to sell off as an adult book, and it was sold with the price of an adult book, and honestly it was not good for me. Did he write a sequel for that? Is that something else? I don't know. So then the next one would be from the little pile that is like, I don't own the Rednecks, but I want to read it. So I chose now the sequels to Heart of Thorns by Brie Barton. I have this as a favorite edition. I really doubt that I want to own the rest, because while I actually enjoyed many parts of this when I read it for my favorite vlog, more than I did in other books, but I'm thinking about buying 2 more hardcovers and then having it on my shelf for the rest of my life. I don't think I enjoyed it enough for that, you know, unless they like blow my mind. But I bought 1, 2, and 3 in the library, and we shall read them, and then if we unhaul, obviously we can count them as 3 books, which is great because I need a booster, but I still need to read 2 full-length YA books. How do I describe this plot? Okay, so because it's a while since I read it, and I am bad sometimes at synopsises. When a world where only women can have magic, every woman is expected to have magic, and then our main character is half girl, half god, fear revealed and hunted, because she has trained under the hunters, and then she's going to marry this prince, and then something happens. She's supposed to be the wife to the future king. Yes, and then she escapes on the eve of her wedding, because she's a huntress, but she's also like half Greetrash. It's a whole thing. I thought that her name was Greetrash for a moment, but her name is Mia. And then she needs to uncover things about her past that her dad hid for her from her mother's past as well. And I actually thought it was a good ride. Like, we were under like run for a bit, and then the prince had more character than I thought he would have. And then there was some good plot twists in the end. I just didn't know really how to describe the book. I thought it was a good ride for what it was. So I want to read the rest and then see that I will probably unhaul this, even though it is a older favorite edition, but we only have like really the spread edges, etc. And I can't keep everything, you know? I just assumed I had a... Yes, it is signed. Boohoo. So that is the next like series. I will read the next 2 in that. Hopefully both tomorrow, but we shall see. And then I will go back to something on my TBR, which would be Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I realized this has a sequel, and I feel like I'm not going to enjoy this. But I heard good things about it, but then now I don't know if I will like it. So I don't know if I should like read this and its sequel, and I can count it for 2 books, but I don't own the sequel. But I heard terrible things about that because that came much later. I think it in my head as a standalone. But we're going to read that next because I don't think I'll enjoy it. And then I will get back to you of whatever happens next. I'm sorry for being a mess, and I'm sorry that this vlog is 400 years long, but such is life. I barely know who I am anymore. But I will try to update you at the best of my abilities. I finished some things. So, I finished the rest of Heart of Thorns by B. Barton. And I remember enjoying this when I read this in a further vlog. But the rest of the series was just so uninteresting. I don't understand, like... I had to shut my door. I don't understand... like what I enjoyed, because it was just so boring. I just did not like care for the second or the third book at all, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm like, I wouldn't say a bad reading mood, but I'm not in the best reading mood because I feel like I'm just reading, you know, a lot of shit, and I feel like I'm doing that partly throughout the whole year, force myself to read down a lot of things, and I know that's my own fault. Like, people yell at me like, why do you finish things you don't enjoy? Because I like to finish things. It makes me happy. But I was at the point a bit unsure if I should keep this and like, or not, since I did enjoy it. But the rest was super interesting. I think that the first one had compelling things. I remember very specifically enjoying the journey, and we had some reviews where I was like, oh, this is interesting. But the second and the third book had none of that at all. So I will unhaul this, and the thought of buying the rest is just very unappealing, so that's just not happening anyway. So, in the unhaul pile, oh my god, it's about to fall. So there we go. And then I finished more, but it was almost an accident because I didn't have an audio. On the side of this vlog in general, I had audios for either other vlogs or that just come in off hold, so I've just been listening to that. And I haven't done any audio for this vlog, but now I don't have a single one, so then I've been trying to take on audio for the books I was planning to read anyway, so that like then it goes faster. So we have Reign of the Fallen. This was one in the pile of like where I read this. I don't have the second, but I wanted to complete the duology. So Reign of the Fallen is about a necromancer, and then she becomes addicted to drugs. I read this many years ago, and then it's like she still is, but she's a bi MC, and at that time I feel like really there was queer, obviously, books, but it was more hyped in a different way because now there's so many of them, which is amazing. But like, I remember like specifically people were like, oh my god, bi MC, and like that was really hyped. And obviously I was intrigued to it for that reason. And I did enjoy it fine. It is about finding love again and about going through depression and substance abuse. And I think it brought up a lot of interesting things. And now I listened to the second one on audio. Didn't love the narrator. I think it made the story more annoying than it actually was. And I just don't think the story was that appealing. And again, I feel like before, like just like 2 months ago, I enjoyed more things on audio than I did physically. And now I just don't enjoy either. Unless I'm not reading for this blog, apparently. So the audio was just fine. I don't remember specifically all events for this one, but it did remind you a bit, so that was good. But we are on a different journey. We're trying to keep a kingdom together. A lot of people are trying to assassinate and ruin this kingdom. And we're getting alliances, and there's necromancy stuff happening. And then there is drama in the relationship happening. We actually have a lot of different plot points going on. And I just didn't feel like it was that interesting. And this comes in a bit where the fall for me for YA fantasy is that it actually could... Before, I just enjoyed it and thought it was like super interesting and appealing, and like I love the romance no matter what. But here I just noticed with this and the Brie Barton one that it just doesn't manage to have all these elements for me in a depth enough for me to care for them, or like write it in a way where it's like I care and I want to really see what's going to happen next and really have it not necessarily unpredictable, but written so well that it's like I'm very invested in these different storylines. And here was just like a random event. Oh my god, this dude was possessed, and I was just like, oh, I honestly didn't care. And therefore, I feel like I haven't been enjoying myself that much. So ultimately, didn't love the second one. I think that this is a pretty cover. I think it was an okay story for its time. I do remember I rounded it up to 4 on Goodreads. I just checked this and I did finish Duology and it was fine. And I could recommend it. But I would probably recommend better fantasy stories for me. But like with a rap and like the way the story is, it's a fine, okay story, but nothing to write home about, you know what I mean? But again, I did enjoy it in its time when I read it. Like I remember reading it and I thought that it was fine, and I don't think that the story is necessarily bad. I just feel like it's the sort of story I feel at this point grown out of. Maybe in 10 years I will be more appealed to that kind of story again. Who knows? But I am unhauling that, and then we can count it as 2 books, just like the Brie Barton ones. We count it as 3, and we have less, I think, than 20 books left now. So there's that. Okay, so next up, I just started Ready Player One, but don't have much more to say because I read like 10 pages, so I didn't really read that much today. The font is small, and this one is about this billionaire that left these clues in his game, and if people find this like Easter egg clue thing, they get all his money. And then it's about the main character. He already has told us that he has found the Easter egg, but we're going back in time to see how this actually came to be. So in the future, he's rich, I think. We see if I enjoy it. And then I never watched this movie, so maybe I will, or maybe not. We shall see. And then my other one, that was my physical read. But then I had this, The Serpent's Secret. This is the first one in the series. This is a middle grade series following a girl that is like a princess in the other world where her parents are also from. She's daughter of like the moon goddess and the serpent god. And it's obviously based itself upon Bengali folk tales. And again, it is a bit reminiscent of like how Rick Riordan obviously writes his stories. Like, it's a hero, it's a quest, you meet different creatures and challenges, etc., and have different abilities. I remember reading this and I did enjoy it. I did give it a 4. It is now a trilogy and I don't feel like buying the rest, and I don't need to keep this even though it is an enjoyable, nice middle grade that I could recommend. But I do remember not like loving it. I thought I would love it when I was going to read it, and I didn't love it, but it is an enjoyable middle grade. And then now that I'm reading the second one, the main character, I need to remember it's a middle grade, is a bit annoying. She's very like, she's a child. And I'm like, I feel like now I've grown out of middle grade as well. But I guess I like my middle grade a bit more magical, a bit more like, I guess, sensical, and a different kind of MC. This MC, like, she's bugging me a bit. Like, some of like the lines in the book, like, she's such a main character. And obviously that is fine, and she's allowed to be the main character in her own book. But for me, it just doesn't fall into like a character that I enjoy at least listening to. But yeah, so I have started to listen to the second one, which I will definitely finish tomorrow, and then I will start the third one as well. So then that will count as 3 books because I know I will probably not keep this. And when I finish Ready Player One, which I hope to do tomorrow, I will then read the sequel to Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett. I didn't love this, but I do have it, and then I will read the sequel so I can get rid. And we count it as 2, even though again, we don't take anything actually out of my TBR for either of these, but such is life. But Heather Fawcett is the author of Emily Wilde, but I didn't love this. But now I feel like I should read it and give it another chance. Because like, I loved, I didn't love it, but I love Emily Wilde as much as I can at this moment when I love something. So I'm just like, did I miss something when I read this? But I read this for the first vlog and didn't enjoy it that much at the time. But maybe, did my brain miss something? I don't know. I feel like I'm missing all things in here right now. But that is up next. And then after that, I don't even know what number books we are at that point. But we are assembling something. I lost all the plot for this vlog. I lost everything. I lost my everything. And now I'm gonna go to bed. Good night. I'm annoyed at myself because I am sitting here uploading my vlogs. And I feel like I've been doing so little progress. Even though I feel like I'm trying to main read for this one. But there's so many other things I need to read outside this. And I'm being stressed out by myself. But yesterday, I did finish Ready Player One. And I used ages finishing this because I literally used 4 hours reading this. And this is a book with less than 400 pages. So for that, for me, is a long time. And I loved it. I actually loved it. This font is so small. It's no rare I used a long time on it. This one, as I said, followed them trying to follow these Easter eggs to open this gate to win all the billions for this person who made the game. And the book takes up so many like pop culture things from the 80s. I was not born in the 80s, but I didn't know a lot of the references, but it was still fun. Like, I didn't care that I didn't know the games or didn't know what we were talking about. Like, it was still fun. Obviously, I knew some of it. Like, they mentioned the World of Warcraft, they mentioned Monty Python, which I never seen, etc. But obviously, I heard a lot of the things, and the things referenced to Pac-Man, for example. And then we just follow these characters that you really, really start caring for. And it's all about like how a game becomes your life. And then obviously it on one side doesn't feel real, but it is real. And on another side, there is also a life out there that you can live that can be even more significant than, even though you can't do all these amazing things you can do in the game, your real life is also significant. Even though games are amazing, as a person who loves to play games as well and loves to disappear into books, and you can criticize myself for reading more about other experiences than I experienced by myself, etc., etc. But it is like a book for the nerds. It's a book about like very cool concepts, and I think the author really takes his time to go into detail to explain like how the process works, how this works, where this came from, etc. And he really takes his time to explain how and why it works. So it can feel info dumpy, but for me, I loved it. I love knowing all the like small details to make it make sense to me. And I love like the message, I love the friendships. I even kind of liked the romance because I thought it was sweet and I thought it was fun. It was such a fun adventure. Like, we were on this journey and you were like, you wanted to know what's going to happen next. And I was reading it just like, even though the story literally tells you from the first page what's going to happen. Like, he tells you what's going to happen. You still don't know how. And you still are like grasping through the pages, figuring out how. And I thought the journey was great. And obviously that is counterproductive for this vlog, but I did get it out of my TBR. So that is one thing. And the second thing is that there's a sequel, but I decided to not read it now, even though like for all of the other books here, I obviously like just continue the whole series. But I know I'm not going to unhaul this, so there's no point of me reading a sequel that I don't own because it's not going to affect my TBR, and I can read that sequel later. And I heard terrible things about the sequel, and I read a synopsis for it yesterday, and it is literally the same thing, and I don't understand how, like, why, how, you know? So I don't understand, but I will wait for that until later. I want to ride high for this book before I ruin it with a sequel. But I ended up giving it a 5 stars, even though obviously there were small problems and issues I had with it. There was like some weird stuff about like some gender things and some like stuff like that. But I feel like the author generally was trying to not be like that, but then it can come across a bit weird. It was stuff like that there was parts that bugged me, and it felt very like manly, but then it was trying to not be manly. So I don't know how to explain it, honestly. But like those things weren't overshadowed by how great of a journey I had with it. And I truly did. So obviously I'm not going to unhaul it now because I kind of want to reread it, and it was such a ride, and I kind of want to watch the movie, even though, again, heard terrible things about that. So it might be the only book that survives this whole vlog. But I also haven't had that such a good reading experience in a while now, because obviously I've just been reading lots of shit. But yeah, I am going to continue with the Heather FAES. I think I'm going to try to do that today. But there is a lot of elements and balls flying in the air of what I need to read and do. So hopefully I will get back to you soon. But honestly, I loved it. It hit in the right places for me. It was a very good ride. I really loved it. Hello. It has been now 2 days since we talked. I don't even know. But the last thing I talked about was Ready Player One, which we are keeping. And we are very much closing into the end of this vlog. I calculated that I can finish it within the next 4 days if we don't count this one, which hopefully actually will happen, because now I actually put a deadline on this for reasons, because of unhauls and etc. and like what I want to accomplish in real together with this. It's a whole thing. And I know that this vlog became a bit of a mess because I was trying really hard in the beginning to be very like, I was gonna say like not constructive, but like very like we're doing it in this certain way. And while I have kept on theme for all my books to pick up books that I know I'm most likely not going to keep, or I think I'm most not likely going to keep, it hasn't gone exactly to plan. But granted, this was the first episode, and granted we picked out an extraordinary amount of books that wasn't what I hoped for, but here we are. So I know that like the way I filmed this changed a lot from the beginning to now, but I still hope it has been a ride. We're not done yet though, and we will have like more, I guess that's in the end of like how many has been read and how much TBR has changed and all that. It will be all like there in the end. I've done like some Excel stuff today that will make it much easier for me. So that will be a fun time in the end. But we do have a couple of books left. So we did read Ready Player One. And then it feels like so many days ago since I read this, but it was literally yesterday. This was one I already read before, so this is taken from my red shelf. And then I read its sequel, All the Warring and Light. And this one is like kind of icy, snowy place thing, and it's not bad. I think the atmosphere is good, and I think that Heather Fassett is a good writer. I just was not invested in its character or like the plot of the story at all. I didn't really care in this first one, but as we know, I like to complete things and then read them done before unhauling. I say that, and then I do also know that all of the books in my unhaul pile, I did not complete all of those series because I was just like, oh, that doesn't matter. And now, but for this and for all the books in my piles that I did before this, I have to complete them. So I don't know what happened with my brain there, but I'm sure I will be reminded when I actually film my unhaul, because some of those books has been lying there for over a year, of what is actually in there. And if I want to complete things before I actually get rid of them, I guess we will see then. But I don't really have many more thoughts on these. Sorry, that was a diversion. I don't think the book is bad. I just wasn't invested and I couldn't really get into the story much. I really enjoy Emily Wilde and will recommend that instead of reading this. The atmosphere is also really good, but I like the icy, snowy feel of this book. I just wasn't invested in its character or its plot. So there is that, and then I can unhold this, and then the other one, as we know, I borrowed. I then decided to go for a other Norwegian series, which is Byen Spor, which means the city traces or like tracks. So it consists of 4 books. It is this first one, and then this is the last one. Sorry, all the books are in a mess. This is the first. This is the second, which has like an undertitle Mai, which is one of the characters in the book. I'm showing you very badly. And then this is the 4th, which is Jesper and Trude, which is 2 characters in the book. There's the third one here in the middle, which is called the Shadow Book or Skyggeboken. And I don't have that. I got these 2 here, first one, for free as arcs. And this one's also free as an arc. And then the third one, I didn't work in the bookstore at the time when that came out, so I never got that free as an arc. And then I was always planning to buy it to complete my collection, but now I'm going to get rid of all of them. Granted, I feel totally fine about this because I didn't actually spend money on them. And I know that this series is probably good for some people, but it's absolutely not, for me, it's not a book that I enjoy at all. And I'm not saying that the book, again, is bad. I just think that it's not for me. We are set in Oslo. We follow different characters that live there, like 4 main characters, basically. And they live there. And then we just like have them interacting with each other and just living there in this time. And there's like these like installments between every chapter of like money that was used in this in like the community, and like the like different like I don't even know, like, you know, when you have like a board and then like the board decides where the money's gonna go, we have like different meeting references to that, what they decided to do with money they had, etc. And you kind of need to be invested in the characters and these streets to care for these stories, and I just was not. The writing was not for me. The setting, I didn't care. Maybe I would have cared more if it was set in my city, which is the most Norwegian thing you can say about your city, especially if you come from Bergen as me. People from Oslo is watching this, don't judge me. But I just was not invested at all, and I do think that there is probably a good story in there, and this, like, again, it's like historical fiction in a way, and it's like, yeah, but it was just not for me at all. I have read, not historical fiction, but I have read books set out in the countryside, etc., from another author that I enjoyed much, much more. And I love like her books a lot. Like, she's like my favorite contemporary Norwegian author, but this author was just not for me. And this book was, for me, extremely boring. And it was just like very tedious and long writing. And it was like really weird things happening and weird things brought up in a weird way. So many weird things, but I completed all 4 of them. I borrowed the 3rd one in the library digitally, so it's obviously not here. Completed the series. I can get rid of it, and that was 4. No, wait. I mean, it was 4 books kind of for this vlog, but that is 3 books out of my TBR, which obviously we love to see. And granted, they were hidden behind other books, but now I can hide other books there instead of using that space for those books. Speaking about Norwegian books that are hidden by other Norwegian books, the next one I read, because I'm reading very like I'm very concentrated, so like I'm not even taking breaks after this. We have Bergens Ungdomsteater, which is Bergen's, my city, young adult theater by Pedro Carmona Alvarez. And this one is another historical fiction, then granted a bit set in my town. She's actually from Oslo, and then they moved to Bergen, and then the father has like gone to the US. And then we are also like, it's kind of historical fiction, and then it's just like interactions and being around, and it's very like floaty. I feel like the other one, like Bien Spo, was less floaty. This one was very floaty, trying to be a bit poetic, I think. And again, I think there's a good story in here, etc. And I think that I probably enjoyed the writing more in this one. It was like easier to digest and like a more, I guess, pretty story than the other one was just very boring and tedious. So like I don't think that this book is bad, and I don't think that I hated the book or anything like that. I just don't think it's a book for me. Actually, this was up for I was doing a live Beat It or Keep It on my Patreon, and this was one of the options, and then I decided to keep it because I did want to read it before I got rid of it. This was another one I got free from the publisher when I worked in a bookstore 9 years ago. So I've been keeping it for 9 years and had no interest in reading it, and now I have. And the pages were thick, and it was a really pretty book. Again, I just don't feel I'm the target audience. I don't think that this type of Norwegian contemporary fiction is the one for me. And I already kind of knew that after like reading and trying some different ones here and there throughout the years, because I worked in a Norwegian bookstore, because I worked in a Norwegian library, and because I'm interested in literature. So then therefore I'm interested in the literature in my country. But I just like this certain one, it's just not for me. I need different authors to enjoy it. I feel like I'm much more critical when I read Norwegian than anything else, but here we go. But it was another book that I own for 9 years that is out of my TBR, and we love to see it. Now, I have done lots of progress on this series actually, but I'm not completely done yet, so we are saving my like full update for this when I'm done, which I will probably be tomorrow if I can finish that audio in time. So now I have written up in my Excel sheets what are the last picks for this vlog. We are now, if you've been counting, I don't know if you have, but if you don't count this right now, because we haven't actually like finished it yet, we are now on book 83 out of 100, which is granted, we have come a long way, but we need to finish more books. And I have picked out another Norwegian series, because apparently we just went through all the dystopia, and now we're going through all my Norwegian series that I own for 100 years. We have this series here, which is like a Norwegian children's series following these trolls. Series itself, what is it called? Skjalgen Trim or something? Yeah, maybe. Skjalg og fetteren Trim. So that's Skjalg and his cousin Trim. And I assume like it's gonna have something to do with Northern mythology or something. And I got this for free. Not when I worked in the bookstore, but I just got it for free because I knew someone that worked in the bookstore. And I think they seem cute. I just know that they're not going to be a series that I would fall in love with at this point and keep. If I read it when I got them, I'm going to see when they were released. Maybe there would have been hope. But now I just think that it will be like a chill read. That I just saw Odin's name. So he's definitely present. So I don't think the books are going to be bad. I just think that I have grown out of this exact book. But I do want to read them before getting rid of them. Oh, this edition was released in 2011 because it says they were first released in 2005 and then they re-released, I guess they came out with the paperbacks in 2011, because sometimes in Norway, at least children's book doesn't always get paperbacks, and if they do, they need to sell pretty well. There is a web thing on it from a spider. They've been on the top of my shelves and hidden behind other books, so now I can hide other books instead of these there. I think they most likely will be an Unhaul. If it's not, I will be shocked. But we will still get them out of my TBR. So, we are going to do that. I just realized I wanted to read the one behind me, and now I forgot to count it in. But, it's fine. I'll fix that later at another time. Now, I'm going to see if I can start that tonight, or if I will relax my eyes a bit since I read already 3 books today. I will update you whenever I finish more series. Let's go. Hello. It is another evening where I have finished more things for this vlog. So I did finish this series, which I talked about yesterday, with Skjalgen Trim, and we did started out with a runestone, and then we had a dragon road, not dragon travel, dragon journey is maybe the best translation, and then the Frost Kingdom. And this is again a trilogy. I would say it's more for like young adults than middle grade, because like it is not like difficult to read, but it's like comprehensive enough that it's not middle grade, I think. So I would say like young adult, like started at like, what is the young adult age, 12 to 18, yeah. And it just follows these two dwarves. They're not trolls. I just thought they were trolls, but they're not trolls. They are dwarves, and they go on to different adventures. In the first one, we look for an object for Odin, because it is Northern mythology, etc. Save one of the main characters' father from execution, and then we go on different journeys in the other ones. I wouldn't say that I love them, but I'm not saying that I hated them either. I did find the writing a bit like, it didn't flow as well. The dialogue didn't flow as well. It felt like stuttering for me, and I don't know if it's because I'm a bit too old for them right now, but I like a funny middle grade, and this one was like trying to be like very formal in a way, and I just didn't find it that enjoyable. And I just like, I know that there's no mythology and stuff in here that I probably would enjoy more a couple of years ago, but overall, all just feeling totally okay with them. I realized I own them again since that I mentioned yesterday, since 2011. That is like, what, 13 years, 14 years owning them, and I just like was never that appealed to them. Again, I got them for free, and I'm fine with getting rid of them here. Even though they are out of print, etc., I would just never feel the need to reread them. I have probably not felt the need to read them the last 14 years, and I doubt that I will get the need to reread them later. But I did finish all of them pretty fast, because they were fast, easy reads, and they were fine. They were okay, and I'm pretty sure like there's a kid out there that can enjoy them, but that kid was not me today. Then I did finish another one, which is just a standalone, which was the next one I picked out, which is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. This is another book that I own for a very, very long time. I actually picked this up. I don't remember if I heard about it or if I just saw it in the store and thought it seemed like an interesting, like, thriller mystery at its time. Like, this was around when like The Girl on the Train and like Gone Girl was popular, and I did enjoy Gone Girl a lot. Didn't love Girl on the Train. I think I have Unhaul that actually, because I don't need to keep that. But this one is just like, they seem perfect, and then obviously there is more going on behind their relationship, which is why it's called Behind Closed Doors. And I wouldn't say that this is a book with any like plot twists or reveals as a thriller. It sets up the story instantly, where you know that the husband is terrible and is controlling the wife, aka Grace, and it's more about her escaping and getting flashback to how she got there, and then like to be switch between the present and the past of like how the situation is. It reveals very quickly how everything is. It's like not a spoiler, and you can get that pretty fast from the synopsis as well. And it's about her escaping, so we are like in a domestic abuse. Our main dude is like completely unhinged, and I will admit that it was very, very appealing to read. Like, you really, really wanted to know what was going to happen next. I could feel the suspense and like the build up to like, how is this going to play out? And I was very intrigued. I was interested to see the whole like everything that played out between them. And I would say that I enjoyed the ending. Like, it was a fun time. Not a fun time for her, but like it was a appealing book that did like suck me in a lot. But I just found, when I look upon it after, like a bit unrealistic. Like, just like a bit too on the nose, but at the same time it is fiction, it is a book, so like I'm not saying that this could never happen, because it all depends on the people. But when I read stuff like this, I'm just like, how realistic is that this could happen in a way that it happens? But obviously it has happened. A lot of women has experienced being locked down and like completely isolated from people around them, and obviously that is a real thing. So in that regard, I'm not saying it was realistic in that way, because obviously there are people who are more vulnerable to this than others. It was just more how it was just filling in like all these, what's it called, like a checklist of how like smart can this person be, how really can he look through all of these things that he predicts. It was still interesting to see like what she tried to do, escaping, etc. And obviously it is a sad and tragic book, and obviously if you are triggered by domestic abuse and animal abuse, etc., I wouldn't read it. But I'm not denying that it had a suck in for like what is happening. However, even if I was sucked in, really curious what was going to happen next, I just don't feel the need to keep it, because like I don't feel like, now that I know what's going to happen, I would never reread it anyway. And again, this isn't one that I own for a really, really, really long time. It's been on my TBR for ages. This was released for the first time in 2016. I would probably bought it around that time. That seems correct. So I owned it for 9 years, and then I actually picked it up. And now that I have, I'm not saying I regret reading it, but I think that if I read it a couple of years ago, I might have loved it more as like a, not scary is maybe the wrong word, but more like a book that I thought was amazing in a different way than I do now. But I'm not saying that necessarily that the book is bad. It has an intrigue and it managed to really suck you in, as I said. But it's also for me a bit like, how is this even possible? I guess like where the main dude just felt too villainous to be real, but at the same time, I'm not going to deny that people like that actually exist. So there's that. But yeah, I did read it and I enjoyed this more than I have enjoyed a lot of the other things in this vlog. I would give it like a 3 because I was entertained, etc. Entertained by someone suffering, but I guess that is all books in a way. But a lot of red flags in general, but I, again, don't need to keep it. So I am unhauling that as well as all the other 3 because I did already say that. And then what am I reading next? I have kinda, as I mentioned yesterday, I picked out the rest for this vlog. I just cannot decide which one to go with first. I guess I would decide that tomorrow, honestly. I guess I'm soon going to bed, so I would just figure it out tomorrow and let you know. Yay! It's actually not the 4 seconds before bedtime, but I was trying to find a book, which is the next one I want to read, and I don't know where it is. I was so sure it was like down here on my shelves, and I can't find it. But I guess I will... Oh wait, there's another place I haven't looked. Oh, I found it. Look, I kind of know where my books are. I found it just now. Okay, so updates. I did finish The Serpent's Secret. Or, I mean, this one I already read, but I finished its sequels. Now, I actually don't have my phone here. So, what is the name of all the books? We have Game of Stars, and then we have the next one. And the third one in the series is called The Chaos Curse. That is the first trilogy in Mala and the Kingdom Beyond. This is all on Bengali folk tales and then different adventures, etc. It reminds me like a bit of Arusha, or a lot of Arusha, the humor, the atmosphere, etc. Even though I like Arusha more, I still think that this keeps some of the spirit from that, for example, if you enjoy that series. And it is like a generally fun adventure thing. I talked a bit about it before, as we know, and while I don't love the character series as much, and I don't think that like the story ropes around as nice as I would like it, it's still a enjoyable story. So I finished that trilogy. Then I found out there's another duology set in the same world, and I do overlap with the third book in the series a bit, called The Pinky Adventures, or also a Kingdom Beyond book in general. So there's 5 books altogether, and I finished those as well. I listened to them on audio. That series consisted of Force of Fire and then Crown of Flames. So I did finish those 2 as well, which means that altogether, with the trilogy and duology, I could count this as 5 books. I did read 4 books for it. I just listened to them all on audio, and I didn't reread The Serpent's Secret. The Pinky Adventures is like a spin-off, but we do, as I said, overlap a bit with the last book in the series, and we have overlapping characters, which I don't want to go into more who Pinky is, if you don't know, but I thought it was interesting, and I did enjoy that, I think, even more, because I think I enjoyed more following Pinky than I enjoyed following Kiramala. But it was still an enjoyable time. We do, as I said, meet different things from the Bengali folklore, etc. And like, again, it's just like an adventurous quest thing, etc. with like different like morals. And this one especially takes up India under imperialist rule and how like they try to resist against it a lot. Like this, the way the story is presented is supposed to be that. And there's like an author note in the end, etc. that explains like more how and why. And then also the author reads all the audio, which was kind of fun. She was great at it, actually. And in the beginning, it was just like, it took me a moment to get used to her voice, but then she does really great voices in general, and I feel like it got a different feel when you know there's an author reading all the books. Overall, I don't think that this series is bad at all. I would definitely recommend it as a fun military series if you enjoy that, especially based upon like, if you want, based upon different like mythology or folklore, or whatever you call it, or mythic figures, I guess, because you cannot call it mythology, maybe. But since I didn't own the rest of the series, I don't really need to keep this, and I don't think I would like to reread this. I know I want to reread Arusha, but I don't think I would want to reread this. And I have owned this for a couple of years and never had an urge to reread it. And if I want to, I might as well borrow them. I don't want to buy, 4 more books to keep a series that would take a lot of space. But I'm not saying that the book was bad or anything like that. I just feel like I, as a middle grade series, I didn't fall in love with it as I'd done with some middle grade in the past. That might have to do with the fact that I have grown now in a different way, so like I don't fall in love with books in the same way anymore. But like maybe if I read it a couple of years ago and absolutely loved it, I would have kept it. But for me now, I didn't love it enough to keep it and to buy the rest of the series. But it doesn't mean that the series is bad. I'm saying goodbye, and I finished everything, and it makes me happy. This is about to fall. It makes me happy to like finish the whole thing before getting rid of it, because then I know I gave it everything I got, and then I can like move on and be like, it was a good time, etc. So again, it wasn't a bad read at all. It just isn't something I need to keep. Then today I did also finish A Spool of Blue Thread by Ann Taylor. This is another one that was up for consideration for me to unhaul, but then at the time I didn't, because I was just like scared I would miss a popular like fiction read. But then I read it today because I realized I wasn't really that interested in it, and I did not enjoy this one. I actually read it in English. This is the Norwegian edition, but I read it in English because I borrowed it in Libby when I read it. So like I read it in this original language, and I just don't understand why this was like is so popular, because I hated the way it was like written, the way the characters were represented in a way. Hate is maybe a bit strong word, but it just didn't appeal to me at all, the way the story represented, etc. But it is about his family and how like it played out, and how like what they do to each other over a few years, etc. And I'm all for family drama, etc. But I just wasn't invested in this family or this characters at all. I didn't enjoy how it was written. It doesn't necessarily need to be serious, but it just like the tone of the story was just completely off-putting for me to enjoy it. And I am saying goodbye to this. I owned it for many years, but I got it for free at this event a couple of years ago. That was what I picked out. Now, you saying goodbye to that, and we're reading the next one. This is another one I got for free because it has like a spill on it. So I got it for free when I walked in the bookstore. And this is Havboka, or the Ocean Book, which is how to trap a gigantic shark from a like small boat in on a big ocean through 4 seasons. And I honestly don't know. Like, it is a popular book, actually. And it has cool art. Look at that. And it's been out for a few years. And I don't understand. Are we actually just going to be an ocean? Because I feel like I'm not going to enjoy it. But then, again, it was popular. And it's still popular to just, like, when we get it in. Or when we got it in, it still sells. They are in a tiny boat. And I guess it is about the story of them being in this tiny boat. So I am curious to see if I enjoy it. Maybe it will surprise me, or maybe I will be very bored. But that is the next one on the plan. Look at me finding all my like all Norwegian free books. But actually, like the 2 small Unhauls I have done on my channel before this were a lot of other Norwegian books that I got for free here and there. So I already cleared out a lot of them, but these were the ones that were left that I want to keep. And now I'm just like, bye. But yeah, that's what I'm going to read next. So I will update you when I do that. Hello. So yesterday I did manage to finish 2 more books for this vlog. I did finish the Ocean Book, or I don't even know what to call it. And it was, as predicted, since I did pick it for this vlog, not something for me at all. We are in the ocean. There's a lot of facts and like footnotes and lots of facts about things. And we are in the ocean and we're trying to capture things. And it just, for me, this is falling apart a bit. It just is not a story for me at all. Which I noticed once when I started it, that it wasn't appealing to me. I didn't care for the characters. I didn't care for how it was written or set up. I'm sure that a lot of people could find enjoyment in the series, but it was just very boring. And I didn't enjoy myself. And I really don't know how more to say than that it is being unhauled. So I did make a right choice for the vlog, at least. And then my next one I picked up was the book 1 in the Familiars. And then this one is called The Dødes Natt, or The Night of the Dead. And this is a Norwegian, like, this I would call a middle grade, because it is like very easy text. Very easy text. And it also has like some segments where the story is told in like comic book form, which I thought was really cool, like to have a mix, because comic books in Norway are very popular in a certain age. And it's like being almost, I would say, overproduced comic books right now in Norwegian, which I do think is cool, but that is what everyone wants to read. So I think like this one is trying to do a mix of it, so people would read people would read both, which is also fun. This was a girl that is doing 13 years old, and then she has this weird like experience, to say like this, and then maybe there is witches, and then there's maybe people hunting witches, but maybe she's not even a witch. So that is kind of like the things that's going on. I actually thought it was quite fun. Like, it was a fun, easy story that if I was younger, I would have sucked up. And I think it was very fitting that we are in October when I read it, because it's like witches, and she has birthday on Halloween as well. So I thought that was fun. I could potentially read a sequel, but I don't want to own it. Like, I don't want to have this on my shelf. I got this for free. Then I would feel like I would need to get the rest of the series, and it's nothing I need to own because I don't think it was that amazing. I would rather give this back to the library so they can have another copy, or for someone else that has like a kid in this age that can enjoy the series, I would rather it go to them. But I don't think it was bad. I think that for the target audience that it was an okay story. It was a bit like scary, and it had like a bit of friendship and witches, and I thought it was cool. And I liked that like it switched formats a bit. And I think that the art was really, really good. So it's not a bad review. It's just like, I don't need to own it. And if I hadn't gotten it, like someone gave this to me, because they had gotten it for free, I probably never would have read it. But now since I got it, I have this urge, like, I have to read it. But yeah, so 2 more Norwegian books down. And we have very few books left for this vlog, I think. I think we have 5 books left. Like, we are on book 95 right now. So we need to interact with 5 more books. And I am like a bit indecisive. I know what I'm going to read, I just don't know which order. So I would just let you know when I finish them instead of me sitting here double talking of what I might read today. But it is Thursday. My goal was perhaps to finish by tomorrow, and I do believe that is possible. So I'm very excited, because that means that I can fix some stuff for move a lot of books, etc. in the weekend, and it's going to be a great time. So very excited, very excited. We are in the end. We are in the clear soon. Hello. I have started to move all the books that is going to be on hold upstairs, which is an undertaking. And I am on the last book for this vlog, which is, wow, it feels like I've been here for a really long time, which I also said about my favorite vlog and my Lumiker vlog, but we are actually in the end. So I finished a couple of things yesterday that we need to talk about fast, because I don't have that many thoughts. Or maybe I do, but I just don't have that much to say. And then we would talk about last book upstairs together with stats, etc. So I did decide to read Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zusak. It's actually kind of pretty nice book that I owned for a really long time. I remember I managed to get the signed edition. Where is the doodle? Look, it's an actual doodle. It's actually like really like a nice, look how pretty it is. Never really thought about it. I bought this first when it was released, because Book Thief I actually do really love. And I have a really ugly edition of Book Thief that I actually have no clue where it is right now, because I hide it away. It was released in 2018, so I have owned it for a little while. And then I never just felt any interest in reading it. It's about 5 brothers, and then it's about this bridge, and it's switching between them. It's kind of poetic in a way it's written. Like, it's very like, I was trying to find a page of like an example, but like it jumps down a lot. So even though like the book is 500 pages, it doesn't feel like a 500-page book, because we jump so much in, like, we don't fill the pages. I don't know how to describe it. And it was very poetic in a way. And I just wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in the brothers. I wasn't interested in this bridge. I just feel like it was just like flying a bit in the air for me. And I just couldn't get really that invested. So for me, I didn't really enjoy it. And I heard like medium things about it. So I kind of knew that was the trajectory we were going on. So I didn't love it, and I will unhaul it, because I don't think I will ever really need to reread this. I never actually reread a Book Thief, but I did really enjoy it, and I would definitely like keep that. But obviously I bought that on the basis that I thought I would enjoy it because of Book Thief, and I didn't, which is like what I need to learn. But sometimes that is hard, you know, when you only have one book by the author. But at this point, I hope that I would burn it first and then see if I enjoy it, and then buy it if I enjoy it, etc. But sometimes you're just on the hype of a new release, you know. But yeah, so this can go to someone else, this nice edition. Goodbye. Then I finished a duology, which is Tokyo Dreaming, and then we had Tokyo Ever After. So this one is by Mako Jean, and the first one just follows our main character that finds out she's a princess in Japan, which obviously is bold because there's no like actually princess over there. Oh wait, this is the first one, Tokyo Ever After. I don't know, for some reason Tokyo Ever After sounded like the end. But yeah, she's a princess, and it's just funsies, and it's not real obviously, but it was just a fun time. And I remember I actually quite enjoyed the first one. According to Goodreads, I gave it 4 stars, so it seems very harsh that I am having it here and unholding it, but I just was thinking more on it. It's a good fluff read that I had fun with. But when I was reading like Tokyo Dreaming Now, which is like the aftermath of everything that happened and her adjusting into this life of being a princess, it was just like whatever, and I just don't feel like I will ever feel the need to reread it or like own it, which I'm trying to reflect more on. But at this point, I'm not gonna end up with 0 books, because now when I start thinking like this, I'm literally just gonna be like, I don't need to own it and just get rid of everything I own. I'm joking, halfway. But I just don't feel like that deep emotional connection to it. It's like, it's a bit cringy. While I had fun with the first one, I still just don't feel that much for it. It has like, it does this thing where like it's using Japanese words in the middle of like its sentences to have the language in it. And I just, every time I have to read Japanese in Romanji, my brain is just like, what does it say? But yeah, it is a bit, it was fun, okay ride, but I don't need to own it. And then I can go to someone else that can have fun with it. I feel like if I was a bit younger, I would have loved this. But now I'm just like, whatever. And like, these covers are not, you know, the best ones. The other covers, the US ones, are much prettier. Then I decided to read Again But Better by Christine Riccio, which I heard mixed things of, so I didn't like have the highest expectations. And this one follows our main character that is kind of like want to do college again. So she goes to an exchange year in England after like having like 4 years in college and like feeling that she didn't do much, and that like she like didn't like get friends, etc., and like have a good life, and like she's nerdy, etc. And then she goes to England and meets this guy that she starts to like, and she's like never had a boyfriend, etc. But then he has a girlfriend, and then things unravel from there. It has like a bit of a magical pinch to it as well, etc. But I wanted to enjoy it. And obviously, I watched a lot of Christine's channel back in the day, and like I thoroughly enjoyed her videos, etc. But obviously, I'm judging this book, not her as a person, because I don't know her. So obviously, I was curious about her book, and I am still wanting to read her others as well, because like I feel like this is her debut. She grows as an author, etc. But I will probably just borrow them. I don't need to feel the need to own them unless like I end up loving them. But like I didn't love this. I just didn't like the characters that much. And I just, for me, I just felt like they were doing weird things. And I was just like, what? This doesn't make any sense. And it was just for me a lot of cheating, etc. And I just didn't enjoy that. And I just felt like the way certain things happens, I don't know, I don't want to spoil it, but I was just like, what? This is so bizarre. And even like the book calls out that this is bizarre, but just like reading it, I just got like so annoyed. And then like it's supposed to be like a fun, cute rom-com, but like if you just remove like the girlfriend aspect of it, I would enjoy it more, I think. But I just feel like everything was like blown out of proportion a bit, and I just couldn't connect to the characters in a way. And I just didn't understand why they liked each other that much. Like I couldn't get behind this romance. And usually when I've been reading romance lately, I've been like very into them. So like this one specifically just wasn't for me. And again, I know it's supposed to be like a cute rom-com, but this specific cute rom-com just wasn't that cute for me. And maybe like as a movie, I could have had more fun with it, because then like the humor of it comes more forward. But it was just like so many references to certain things. It was like an overabundance of references, and it was a lot. So I just ended up not enjoying it that much, and I will unhaul it. But again, would probably read other books by the author and then just borrow them in the library. So it's not like I hated it, but just the way it was written and the characters, etc., just wasn't for me. That is the last ones I like. This obviously counts as 2, even though I only read 1. And then I'm listening to the last one now, which I have like less than an hour left off. So you should talk to me soon in the last clip for this. Oh my god. Hello! So we are here for the last clip for this vlog. I wanted to be upstairs, and I took up all the books on the table that we are interactive with here. And I wanted daylight, but the daylight is too bright. But here we are. It's been a ride. I actually thought that I read all the books for this vlog than the ones that I found out I read for this. because right before this, as I mentioned, all the way in the beginning, 100 years ago, I was reading books with my piles. So a lot of the things for my piles I thought was for this vlog, because it was like a very similar thing, just that I made it to this vlog. Either way, we have finished the last book for this, which is My Life on Her Own by Gloria Steinem. She is a feminist that did a lot of things over many, many years. She's been in different campaigns, taught a lot of people. She has fought a lot together with other activists and feminists, etc. And it was very interesting. I had never heard about her, I will admit, before this was a pick for our shared shelf, which was Emma Watson's book club on Goodreads, and this was one of the first picks. And at the time, I was planning to read all the picks, which I might do, honestly. It's not anything wrong with that, but I was planning to buy them all. And then this one was the first one I bought. And I remember like the next one or something was unavailable, and then I never ended up buying it. I'm not saying that this book was bad at all. It was very, very interesting to learn about Gloria's life and learn about like a movement, etc. that obviously I knew a lot about, but there was a lot of things I didn't know. It's one memoir that I think takes up not just a white feminist perspective, but Black people and people of color and many, many groups of people, trans people and queer people, etc. Like it took up so many groups of people, which was just so nice, which is what a activist should do. But like I just feel like it's often one certain lens that is focused on. And then in this one, she actually managed to, I think, bring all these groups into focus in different ways as a white woman as well. And I think that that was done really, really well. And I think parts of it was done so well. And I think it's a really well-written book from a person who's had a really interesting life. There was a lot of US politics, which I will admit that I don't find as interesting, while obviously what is happening in the US, etc. is important for our world because it just affects the whole world. It's just like a bit boring to read about. And the author didn't read the whole audio, which I don't know, for some reason expect, but such is life. I'm not saying that this book was bad, honestly. I think it was a well-written book, but I have reflected upon the fact that I don't need to own it, so I am going to end up unhauling it. I'm probably never going to reread it, and if I did, I would probably just listen to the audio, so I would just borrow it out anyway. It's a kind of book that I now would have just borrowed anyway and read, and unless like it really impacted me in a different way, I would have maybe bought it after the fact, so which is what I would probably do if I read the rest of our shared shelves picks, which is why I thought that it would be nice to just get it off my TBR now and then get rid of it. But again, I don't saying it's a bad book. I will recommend it to people. I think it brings up so many important things, and it was a good ride. I learned some things, which is what we like from a nonfiction, etc. So putting it here, as you can see, we have a lot of books behind me. These are all the ones that I own, that we have interacted with in this vlog, which I feel like they made such a nice picture, honestly. Let's go over some stats. First of all, out of all the books, all of them should be behind me, we had 47 books out of my TBR out of the 100. So that is not even half, which is actually not great, but it's still 47 books out of my TBR. Out of the 100, we had 25 of them being books I already read. So that means that like I already read them, but I just continued the series, etc., which we have done several times in this video. And then we had 27 books that I borrowed from the library, which is great in a way that I didn't buy them, those 27 books, because I obviously don't want to keep them. But it's also like, that's a lot that could have been books on my TBR. But we wanted a complete series, so here we are. Am I Normal Yet was one book from my piles, which was a leftover from my last project. So it wasn't officially on the TBR in Libib, but it was a book that I owned at least. And out of all of those, we unhauled 72 books. That's a lot of books in this video alone. And now I'm surrounded by a bunch of piles of other books that I hauled in the previous vlogs and outside the vlogs, etc. We borrowed, again, 27 books from the library. And we kept one singular book, which is Ready Player One, which I am going to keep because I loved it. And I'm going to see when I read the sequel if it will then be that. I'm joking. Halfway, because I did really love it. But yeah, that is the stats. So if you want to know more stats, we started out in Libib with 598 books on my TBR. But the thing is that while I've been filming this, obviously other books has been going in and out, like outside this, because I gotten books in, which have been added to the TBR in Libib, obviously, because I add them at once when I get them. But I also taking books out when I read books, for example, for my last Patreon read along, my last Patreon readathon, and also just in general, like if there was a book I had to read, I always took it out of my TBR outside this vlog. Tried to write them all down. It wasn't the easiest. I might have missed some, honestly, but it actually is like totally even. In while filming, aka then added to my TBR, ended up on 16 books, and out while filming, aka other books I've taken out of my TBR, was also 16 books that I written up, zeroed a bit, but I don't know if it's 100% correct. I also took out other books from my read shelf while filming this, which is other books I unhaul just because I decided to unhaul them. But obviously, like, the focus is not the read shelf numbers, it's more the TBR numbers. But yeah, the in and out while filming, I tried to write them up so we could, like, I can mention it. Is the mathing? I don't know. But we started out on my TBR shelf when we started this Y on 590 end books shelf, and now we are on 551, which is a 47 difference, which is the books on my TBR I read. And now I'm reflecting, maybe the other math is making sense, because if I took in and out exact amount outside this vlog, which is totally random and I didn't do that on purpose, it kind of makes sense that it is an exact 47 difference. That is really weird because I didn't do that on purpose. It just kind of happened. That is so weird. On my read shelf, we started out with 1,757 books and we are now 1,762. So we are in -5, but that is not exact, like, obviously, because I just said we unhauled 72 books. That means that all the books on my TBR, as well as the books that was already on my read shelf, I have deleted those. But while I've been filming, other books has come in that I put directly in my read shelf because I read them before, like, because then they wouldn't be going to the TBR, like my Twilight sets, Hunger Games. It's been a lot of books in the house outside this vlog. So that means that while we are in minus, which is a good thing, we are not in minus of 72 because there is a difference there of books that have come in, which means, what does that mean? I hold over 60 books outside this vlog. If the math is mathing. That might be, but also I did also obviously some of the things that is taken in while filming has been over to my read shelf every time I take something out of my TBR. I think this is complicated. It does make sense anyway, but yay, math! How did you think we did? Honestly, I think this looks great, and it's not even all the books. I didn't even take in Ready Player One. But it is 73 books out of 100 that we have here. And I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I hope it made sense. I know it's really long, and the next episodes are not going to be 100 books, I swear. But the goal is to get my TBR down to 100, right? We have now 551, which I do think is a big improvement. So in theory, we only need to read 350 more within the year that's coming up. It's not that bad. It's not that bad, guys. There is hope. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed. Leave the 100 mark emoji down below if you enjoyed this, because it's like, it says 100. And you should see me soon in a new one. Thank you so much for watching. And I know there's a lot of improvements that can be done here, but you gotta learn from failing. Bye!